Welcome once again to the Appalachian Podcast. I'm your host, Billy Riddle. With me, as always, the co-host, Jeff Taylor. Bodine, welcome back to the Get On Tap Studios.
Welcome back to Get On Tap Studios with your host, Billy Riddle.
We are here today. Actually, before we get started, I just want to tell everybody, I know we put this out on Facebook here. I guess it'll be yesterday for you all, but last week was the first week we hadn't had an episode released. We had one ready to go. Bodine and I and Simon Winch all sat down with the Moore brothers, and I'm sure everybody in the room knows
Brian and Darnell.
Yeah. Parents have been in the school system for a long time. They're wonderful members of the community, well-known, very respectful individuals, and they came on the show, and we just had a candid conversation about everything. They're members of the black community, and they wanted to come on and just have a conversation that would just have questions answered. And they showed up with a bottle of Crown Royal, and although we didn't tap into it, I got it sitting up here on the shelf waiting for a special time. We had a blast and had a lot of good conversation, talked about a lot of things, and it wasn't what anybody would have expected. I mean, they think, it had a lot of people reach out to me about this, and immediately their brain went to divisiveness. And I was like, no, it's a direct opposite of what we're trying to do. I was like, of course we don't agree politically, and we don't agree a lot culturally, but what I do agree with is both us and them are trying to better our community in positive ways. And at the end of the day, I don't care. As long as his community's happy and my community's happy and we can coexist, and that goes for anybody else out there.
Community.
So let's get up here and talk and not argue back and forth on the internet, which gets you nowhere. Sit down in front of somebody, because for one, a lot of you people out there on the internet, when you're actually in front of somebody, you're going to be a whole lot more polite. You're not going to be that Billy badass keyboard warrior that you all, you know what I mean? You're going to, not that was anybody, that we were with last week. I'm just saying, for people out there who want to get away from the nonsense, reach out to people, have a beer, talk to them in person. And that's all we did. We had a really good conversation. I got home that night and I texted Bodine immediately, and I was like, dude, the entire file is missing. I don't know what the hell happened. Like, it's there. It says 2.5 hours of content, but it's like the spirit of it. Like, the audio file has passed on and it's just a spirit still. So I don't know.
Well, in all fairness, we had some audio issues before, which Billy has got us a new soundboard here that's hopefully going to eliminate a ton of those issues.
Yeah, we spent about 45 minutes before the show trying to fix some audio problems, but we fixed them. We did a sound check. We tested everything, come back through. We watched it the entire time record.
And I'm not so convinced that something there didn't have something to do with it that we just didn't have back right. And it is. We're going to keep looking. I tried looking at the computer earlier, and we get more time, I'll look again just to make sure I've crossed every avenue on that. But regardless of what we come up with on that, we're going to do it again.
Yeah, we're definitely.
We're going to do it again. We're going to make it right because, honestly, we'll all come in and have even better conversation because of that. Because we're all on. We started on good grounds. We left on good grounds, and we do nothing but better our community together. And, and we all agreed on that.
Yeah, so we'll definitely have that conversation again, and it'll probably be better than the first one. Although I wish people could have heard it. I was really proud of it. When I got home that night, I was just...
Well, we'll be proud of the second one.
We will be,
confident.
But I thought it was a good thing. I thought we had a blast, and...
Well, I worried when I said it. I'm like, man, I considering all the controversy over the taboo topics, which they really aren't. They're told they have to be taboo. I was worried people would say, well, you deleted that on purpose. I'm like, no, because that was one of our best episodes. It was good for us and it was great for them. So why would we want to, never. So yeah, we're going to fix it. We're going to make it right. I don't know how, but we're going to make it right.
Well, I was texting Brian back and forth today, and he said, man, the same thing happened to us a couple years ago for, I guess, on Cable 12 or something. Said that the everything got deleted or lost or something. I said, man, right now we're all kind of going through some Murphy's Law nonsense, I think. And that's when my wife told me that night when I got home. She was just like, the universe is just testing our resolve, right? Because we were already on edge and everything. We got a baby that isn't sleeping very well, and we're not getting a lot of sleep ourselves. So
equipment failures.
Yeah.
Which
But yeah, and he told me that. And I was like, "Tag on it." I said, "Man," but
that made you even feel even
it did.
worse.
That's it. But I said, "Look, we're gonna get back on here." I said, "Let me hit up Simon this week and find out another time. We'll come do it again, and I'll make sure we do all the proper steps." And going forward, I learned a valuable lesson with that show. I learned that from now on, I need to just immediately share all my files as a complete file to iTunes. That way, I have something there as a backup. So.
And it's possible that it's still on there, but we just had to dig in the right place.
I've dug, and so, but anyway.
Let's roll on to this week's
we're going to roll into this one. We'll catch that
there.
one back later today.
We'll get back to last week's.
It's going to be a really fun time for a lot of reasons. We're welcoming back some familiar faces today, and we're going to talk about some really cool stuff. You all remember Freddie Hodges, Duke Sideline reporter. We had him here last time. A ton to talk about with that. And welcoming for the first time in a non-racing episode, we have the historian himself, Julian Austin, back in here. Julian, you're making your way from the racetrack to the hardwood today for the conversation.
I was going to say, guys, where is the race cars at? Where's the race cars at, guys? Like this is some brand new territory for me.
Players are racing up and down the court in Cameron Indoor Stadium, right?
Hey, that's pretty good. That's pretty good.
We can make some racing noises for you.
Oh, we could definitely make some racing noises, but. Great to be back on the show. This is my third time on the show, so getting quite accustomed to the Get on Tap studio, which this is the first time I've actually been in here. A little smaller than I thought it was going to be. You see the pictures, and it's like, wow, look at this gigantic studio. And I come in here, and it's like, oh, okay, but this is very quaint. I dig it.
The pictures make everything look bigger. It's really
exactly.
I mean, it does what we need, and it can accommodate probably up to 6 comfortably. It starts getting a little squishy if you got more, but that's a great part about the show is we take it on the road quite a bit to random turns at racetracks or Buddy's barbecue, things like that, or the wood shop or Simon's for all the different shows. So it really is kind of a community thing. We take, we use the community to help us out, and depending on the show. And so here we are, and right now it's the time period is I'm just kind of relaxed with the new little one here, and I'm not trying to rock the boat with the wife so much, because these podcasts end up turning out to be a mini party a lot of times. We have a good time and hang out, and it could be at a racetrack or it could be up at the wood shop. So, not that I didn't want to party or hang out tonight, but this is a good episode that doesn't require us, drinking for 8 hours waiting for a race to start. So it can be a little more tame and everybody wins. So, Freddie, welcome back.
Hey, I appreciate you guys having me back, man. I've got to say I'm a fan of the podcast.
There's one.
Skilo's Lawn Care. When I'm out mowing yards, that's my side hustle. I'm listening to the shows, and if it's cool, give a shout out to some of y'all's past guests on here, man. Julian is trying to turn me into a racing fan, and I can say, I'm not the biggest racing fan, but listening to you guys talk, was it Callaway Speedway? Was that correct?
Which one? We've been there a couple times.
Okay, I've listened to a couple of them. I'm plugged in, man, and I enjoy it. And this is coming from a guy that is not the biggest racing fan, but does have memories of going to Callaway Speedway with my uncle, Arthur Pruitt.
Yeah.
And, if you have a wood stove in Franklin County and it has Pruitt written on it, that was my uncle.
Interesting.
Yeah,
that is interesting.
The late great, rest in peace. But he would take me to the races as a kid, and we enjoyed it. But then I remember one memory. We were leaving the race, going down Callaway Road, and somebody sped up the side of them. Next thing you know, you leave that race, and I'm like, and my aunt's like, slow down, and he's racing a guy going down Callaway Road, and I'm like, oh man, but you remember those memories. And
he's lucky he didn't run right up on a police check, because they were famous back in about every other weekend, or probably every weekend they had one somewhere out there.
When we were kids, the line out of Callaway was miles long, in and out. It was just all you could see was green headlights, and it looked like L.A. traffic when you see on TV, when you see the nose to tail traffic. That's why Callaway looked one lane going down through there.
Can y'all answer a question for me? Did you guys go to the races growing up too?
Yeah.
Yeah. I thought you listened to the podcast, Freddie.
Oh, I did. But also, I am focusing on the yard to my clients out there.
I was ready to say, though, your lawn care business is struggling right now, isn't it?
I enjoyed a break because I went hiking last weekend, tweaked my knee a little bit, and I I needed a little break, so
If-
we might have a week. I don't know. If we don't get rain, we might have a few weeks off.
If I were to mow my yard right now, it would catch on fire.
I bet so. Mine's a little bit higher in the neighborhood, but I'll go down the neighborhood. I'm like burnt.
I told Freddie it didn't help me because like when we got that band of rain there for a few weeks there at the end of May, I was like, a few days rather. Right after that I threw fertilizer down, and it hadn't rained since.
Yeah.
And it's awful looking. So I figure the lawn care business is struggling right now.
I got to give a shout out to Amos, man. I've enjoyed that on the podcast. I finally met, is it Simon?
Yes.
Yeah, I met him and Amos at Chaos. And y'all's buddy Josh was your best buddy. Josh was playing there.
Oh, God.
And talked to Simon.
I know that guy.
Loved his input, man. And just great episodes you guys had.
Yeah, Simon was up there with us for the episode with the Moore brothers, and he just made it so interesting. We all had different avenues, and Simon is probably going to be on the next episode we record too.
Okay.
This Friday we're going to be bringing back one of the Woodshop Chronicles episodes with Caleb Flora is coming in, and that'll be a shit show. And who knows who else is going to show up there that night? And
I'm looking forward to that.
yeah, I'm guessing Simon may be one of them.
One more shout out, Jacob Crawford, Ethan Power. Love the guys, love the music. Quick little story on them. Was hanging out with them when they played Hammer and Forge, and when they come in, that place would be packed out.
Oh yeah.
And you're listening to these guys; they're living out their dream and everything. And I go to them at like set break, and they're talking to me, and they're like, "Freddie, man, we've been paying attention to you on Facebook. You're going here, you're going there, you're traveling, you're hiking." I'm like, dude, I've been paying attention to y'all. Y'all are going here, playing this show, playing that. I was like, for a couple young fellas to be talking to me, saying, "Hey, man, we're following your hiking or whatever." I'm like, okay, that's cool, man.
Well, Freddie, people live vicariously through your social media pages. I mean, you are always hiking somewhere, which, look, I'm not a big hiker by any means. But with that being said, we definitely follow you along for sure.
I appreciate that, man. And my knees are paying for them hikes recently.
Yeah, the Crawford and Power episode was it was a blast for me and Amos to record. Jeff and him left a little early, and I think we got done around midnight, and then we sat around and talked to about 2 a.m, which was great for those guys because as musicians, they got nothing to do on a Tuesday morning. You know what I mean? We had to go to work, and I'm going to tell you, it was one of the most miserable days of work I've had in a long time. But show turned out great. We had a blast with those guys, and it's been fun kind of keeping up with them as well. I guess they're still kind of opening for Travis Tritt every now and then if they're not still on tour with him, but they're living a dream.
Yeah, I think I saw where they're in Blacksburg here recently or something. And just a shout out to the people you guys had on the last few weeks or months, man. I'm really enjoying it, man.
So, Julian, what have you been doing?
Wow, well, been going to a lot of different racetracks.
Me and Julian went Saturday night to an interesting show.
Bowman Gray Stadium, Madhouse. Bodine and I went down. That was a good time. We got to see a couple of near fights. Got to see somebody crawl into the side of a modified and rip the key out. Jeff, you want to talk about that?
Well, that was the modified. Pretty much all race cars now have a power switch that basically has what would look as a key. It's just a big old red little
Like
T-handle thing.
On a jet ski
Yeah, kind of a lanyard on a jet ski that you just kind of unhook to hook out. It just when you flip it, it kills the power to the whole car, like an emergency or just a power shut off. Well, anyways, when they got to arguing, the leaders wrecked. 1 and 2 wrecked down in 3 and 4, and the guy that got the worst end of it gets out of his car and goes over to the guy who wrecked him, which was still in the lead, leans in the window from the passenger side, and they talk for a minute, and then you can see them fight back and forth. And when they was fighting back and forth, he reached and grabbed the key out of the ignition and threw it. So the modified, his race car was dead in its tracks. Oh, man. Which interesting, brought up a pretty controversial topic because the officials helped him fix his car, find the key, and put it back in. Nobody protested as far as I know, but I can tell you if I finished second, I would have been protested.
Look, I'm shocked nobody protested that because if I was Brandon Ward, he was the one who finished second on
the 104 car.
And I would have been like, hey, they were working on the race car. Technically, you could say they were working on the race car during red, even though the NASCAR officials assisted them with that.
Yeah.
Like, I wouldn't have had more of a problem with them working on it, but the fact that NASCAR helped them find it. Okay, you don't really hear that very often. I mean, that's kind of like, hey, we're going to stop the race at Martinsville. We're going to help Jeff Gordon fix his car after he ran over that huge piece of concrete that year. And we're going to give him back his spot on the racetrack. I'm a little sore about that still.
Yeah, and I understand what the thought is. Man, just help the guy out. No, I mean, if you mess your race car up between it, it's just luck. That's just racing. And which it was a lot of funny stuff that went on that night. What the best one was when caution come out on a restart. They wrecked on that restart. The sportsman cars wrecked on the restart after they had been, it had been several restarts in a row. They kept jumping the start, so they kept racking them up, running them again. Finally, they wrecked on it. They took the restart and they threw the caution flag immediately. Car spun and wrecked, and they just kept racing and ignored the caution flag.
Oh yeah. What is this flag? Caution, green.
The drivers that done got so tired of it, they wanted to race, and then he restarted all the way in turn 3. So it was rather interesting to see. You know what? And Paul Hall couldn't get a break on a caution, and now we seen that the other night with the key. I can't get over it.
It's Bowman Gray Stadium.
It's Bowman Gray.
It is the madhouse for a reason. And Freddie, Bowman Gray Stadium is a NASCAR staple over the years. They literally have a racetrack around the football stadium at Winston-Salem State University. So kind of like Victory Stadium.
With a Victory Stadium with a racetrack.
Yeah.
Okay, I got you.
Except it's a full...
And it's flat. It's flat as could be, hardly any banking. And so there's only one groove because of that. And you want to be on the bottom because you're not getting anywhere on the top side. They have made television shows about this track. A lot of controversy over the years. Just look up Bowman Gray Stadium and fights, and that's a rabbit hole you will be entertained in for a long time.
I got to look the stadium up because listening to those podcasts, I'm like, I felt like I was there listening to something.
It's incredible. Well, here it is. It's unique. It is something out of the ordinary that you just don't see everywhere, and it's its own world. You don't see this in normal sports even. I mean, and considering what it is, we just don't see this kind of attendance and this kind of following. It is racing, rednecks, and with a touch of WWE. Because, I mean, really, it's entertainment. And it's entertainment at its finest. And they do a phenomenal job down there.
And you say WWE, I mean, the announcer, Randy Pettit.
Yeah.
If that isn't a pro wrestling manager, announcer, I don't know which one is, because this guy, during the races, comes out in different outfits. Like over the weekend, he came out with a red jacket, a blue jacket, leather pants.
And then he changed up. Every time he come out, it was in a different coat.
Every time.
It was the darndest thing I've ever seen.
It really was.
Kelly kept saying, didn't he have a red coat on? I'm like...
He did.
But now it's orange.
Yeah.
And now it's blue. Every time he'd come out, I thought it was just me. So, and what's interesting, here is where I'm baffled the most. Me and Julian talked about this coming back up the road, Billy. You've seen Amber Lynn. We've talked about Amber Lynn, which is the female that races sportsmen down there. And what's crazy about this girl is she is a heck of a race car. You know, she's a wheeler and dealer. She really puts out the effort to race. And she's winning. She's running up front, doing a good job. Well, when they introduced her Saturday night, the crowd erupted in cheers, right? It was like, man, they really are. This is like Dale Earnhardt. This is like the local Dale Earnhardt down here, I was thinking. Well, when they wrecked her in turn 1 and 2, they all cheered again and started waving by at her. I don't understand. Do you love her or hate her?
Yeah. Where's the GIF at? Like, and 20 minutes later, they all start cheering when she wrecks. So
yeah.
I was very confused by that. And the folks that were going wild when she was introduced, like cheering, I swear were the same people that were like cheering when she wrecked. So unless they had an out-of-body experience.
I don't understand what happened.
I don't know, but Amber Lynn is definitely an enigma at Bowman Gray Stadium.
She's an enigma.
And she is not afraid to go at it with the boys. She will rough them up. And I
She
guess,
has been arrested for assaulting one of them.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow.
She's probably early 20s, mid 20s, something like
She's
that.
23.
Okay.
She's 23. I looked it up over the weekend. She's 23. She's got a record on her, and not the record or you would think of about a racetrack. I mean, she's got a little bit of a criminal record, but that's all right.
And a TikTok following.
Oh.
It's
TikTok following, boating, she has cameras attached to the race car.
One guy had his iPhone hanging out the window on the pace laps the other night.
That was great. And you will only see that at Bowman Gray.
Yeah, none of this stuff can happen anywhere else.
No.
So, Freddie, if there's one to take, we got to get Freddie to Bowman Gray
We
Stadium.
really do. I mean, we
got a couple
You
weeks.
got to get me back to Callaway. I got to get to a race up there.
Well, no, Bowman Gray's going to ruin you. We got to take you there. It's worth.
Well, he's looking at it on the TV now. I mean, it's massive crowd, a big bowl. You know, it's like if you put a 20,000-foot stadium around the track up here at the high school and just let rednecks run wild on it 4 hours a week on Saturdays. And it's
With the most pristine, beautiful racing machines you will ever see in your life.
Oh, yeah,
I
those
would have a good time,
modifieds.
man. Yeah.
They fix them every week. They'll destroy them today, and they're racked up and ready to rock. They repaint them every week. Whatever they got to do, rewrap them, re-chrome them.
I don't think it's going to ruin Freddie. It'll make him a big race fan. I mean, he'll, forget the Duke report. It'll be now the short track
But
report.
here's the thing: the people all around the country, there's racing, and then there's Bowman Gray Stadium. It's actually it's in a league of its own. It's a class of its own because the crowd is so different. They're so passionate. It's too complete.
It's like a wrestling crowd at a racetrack.
It is. There you go, Billy. And that's what I meant by the WWE type thing. Just because they will, when they see a little bit of a kernel of a flame, they throw gas on it.
So can I say this? Is Bowman Gray Stadium like Cameron Indoor Stadium? Is that the Cameron Crazies?
Wow.
I mean, it
Great
is it
comparison.
I mean, it probably would be the biggest short track crowd in the country week in and week out. I mean, no other places in the country, maybe Stafford up in Connecticut ain't
No, you're talking about a different type of crowd at Stafford. The
But it's
Stafford,
still not as big though.
it can be, but I think what Freddie's referring to, the camera crazies, they will
The intensity.
the
intensity
intensity.
and passion.
They'll. I mean, I've been there. Me and Freddie have went several times as fans because I'm a big sports fan. I love the experience. Even if they're my team or not.
That's
I love
me
the
anymore.
experience.
That's me anymore.
And this is the experience at Bowman
But
Gray.
Bowman Gray is the experience. It's like the Cameron Crazies. The Cameron Crazies are right on top of you when you're at the foul line. They will let you know about it if you mess up. Bowman Gray, they will let you know if you mess up, usually with a one-finger salute, among other type of language that comes out.
Yeah, and you got to be careful where you sit.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I mean, when you go to Bowman Gray Stadium, there's a good chance you're going to get in a fight. And there is a strong possibility you're going to have to throw bows. That's why when I go, I don't cheer for anybody. I just clap for everybody. There are people, they told me there's guys or families that have seats. They get there hours before the race as soon as the gates open to put down their towels. And some of those people have been sitting there for 20, 30 plus years, even standing. See the wall up around the top there we got on the screen? People stand there and watch the races. There's people that's been standing in the same spot for 30 or 40 years.
Wow.
That's their spot.
Yeah.
And you do not take their spot. Security will come move you before there's a fight. You need to go somewhere
Most of the
else.
time, there is a fight before security can get there.
Yeah. Julian, you seen somebody pass out there, didn't you?
Yeah, so it was, and I
she's
can
all
see
right.
why they passed out. It was 90 degrees at the green flag. So I'm getting some liquid refreshment. And literally in front of me, a young lady just passed out, just hits the ground. And for a second, I had to really take a double take. I was like, is this really happening right now? And before it hit me, I was like, yeah, this is kind of happening right now. So I'm like waving to the ambulance guy. The ambulance guy, he's just kind of chilling over there. And even still, he's just like a gentle walk over to where we were. I'm like, okay, we got somebody passed out over here. Can we come over here?
Truthfully, they probably thought she got knocked out and there was nothing out of the ordinary.
again,
they should still move
that's a
with their
good point.
their professional EMTs. They should still move with a sense of urgency, whether she got
Yeah.
knocked out or passed out or you know what I mean. That's what you get paid to do.
You're right.
Is be in a sense of urgency when there is an emergency.
The fans are more urgent, and that's the thing about race fans. But besides, there's a lot of rivalries at Bowman Gray. The camaraderie is still there, and there was a bunch of race fans that rushed to help that young lady. So she ended up being okay.
And everybody's
just the heat got her.
And it goes back to what there's another topic. When you, at some point, that lady that was sitting in front of us, she left her pocketbook unattended. And Kelly said, she just left her pocketbook unattended. I said, if you touched that pocketbook, there'd be 30 people that would jump on you that knows who that pocketbook belongs to.
Absolutely.
I said, you don't touch that. Nobody's touching that pocketbook, and it is perfectly safe, and that lady knows it. It's just that type of deal.
Well, while we're talking about Bowman Gray, it's going to be a good segue into our next.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
But it kind of makes you wonder, what is it about the state of North Carolina? So you've got Bowman Gray, which is probably the premier unique racing crowd week in and week out in the country. North Carolina also is the hub of NASCAR. It is home of the Nature Boy Ric Flair, Dale Earnhardt, Richard Petty, Michael Jordan, and then of course Duke and UNC basketball. What is and then of course North Carolina itself, it's got some of the most beautiful beaches and beautiful mountains. All you can see all in the same day. I mean, it's a very unique state. It ain't quite Virginia, but it's close.
I do like North Carolina as a state. I love visiting.
But I mean,
down
they
there.
have. I mean, the greatness. I mean, what's Virginia? I mean, we're the president. The mother of presidents. Who cares? Who gives it? Woodrow Wilson was terrible. He shouldn't even be on our list. I mean, who cares about any of that stuff? When you got Michael Jordan and Ric Flair, who cares about Woodrow Wilson and Zach Harrison or Andrew Taft or whoever the hell it was from Virginia? I guess Lincoln and Washington and Jefferson are okay, but after that, I mean, none of the rest compare to.
Look, you got Earnhardt, Flair, Petty. That right there, that's a rush. That's a Mount Rushmore. Add one more to it. I mean,
in itself, yeah.
Jordan.
Well, what
if you
you're
want to go
mentioning
down
on
there.
North Carolina, I love where I live. This is where I'll probably live the rest of my life. But we're not far from the border of North Carolina. I probably make easily 30, 40 trips a year down to North Carolina. Now, probably 20 some are working games, but I mean, the mountains on western North Carolina, you're in the Tennessee border, your top 40 summits of the East Coast are all located east of the Mississippi River, are all located in North Carolina, Tennessee. If you're looking for a higher elevation,
Oh yeah, that
hiking.
run between like Nashville and Kingsport is It's beautiful.
And the beaches, Outer Banks, they have a trail called the Mountains to Sea Trail. Everybody's familiar with the Appalachian Trail. It goes north to south, but there's a Mountains to Sea Trail that's like 1,000, just above 1,000 miles. It starts at Cleveland's Dome and Tennessee, North Carolina border, and goes all the way through the state of North Carolina to the Outer Banks.
Shoot.
And I mean, I'm like, we're blessed in Virginia, but as a neighboring state, it's a great place, man. Wrestling, racing.
Yeah, it's
Tobacco Road.
It does make you think about why is it such a hub with all that great entertainment. I mean, and not to mention the scenery. Like I went to Hickory Motor Speedway a couple weeks ago. That's about 2 hours and 45 minutes from Rocky Mountain, Roanoke. But went down I-77 on the way back. You talk about some gorgeous scenery. I mean, coming up through Wythe County and among other places. I mean, that's like you can't beat that.
And Kelly was kind of surprised because I was down there and I'm like driving through these roads and backwoods roads around Winston-Salem and that area and all the way up. And I know where everything's at. There's a whatchamacallit here. I think it kind of took her by surprise. And I'm like, yeah, we travel this area so much. We're 2 hours from home, but I know exactly where I'm at.
Walkerstown.
Yeah.
That's all you got to say.
It's a Walkertown. We got
Walkertown.
Sheets coming up here somewhere. And I'm like, want to stop at Sheets?
You got the Sheets right there. You have the Zaxby's on the left-hand side.
Yeah, Walkertown's built up.
I mean, yeah, it absolutely has. And with all the traveling I've done, all these racetracks, I could tell you where I've stopped at for each and every one. I mean, Freddie, you went to all those Duke games last year. I'm really trying. You really influenced me. Like your travels have really influenced me, among other things. But I have been to 10 races so far this year including 2 rainouts. But that was still a trip to each one. And I've got about, honestly, 10 or 12 more on the docket ready to go before the summer ends. So, but there's nothing like traveling down these roads. I love it. And, you pick like the worst time where gas is the highest it's been in over 20 years, but, oh well, heck with it.
You know where I took Julian to eat? I took him to Mac's Speed Shop. He'd never been to Mac's before. And it was out of the way to go to Greensboro, then cut across to Winston-Salem, but it wasn't that big a deal.
And I made the mistake of having lunch at like 1 o'clock on Saturday, and then we're having lunch again or dinner at like 5:30. Yeah. So I really missed out on the goodness of Mac's. But I'm telling you, that was the shrimp I had was tremendous. That brisket sandwich that Jeff had, like I wish I had more of an appetite. And I'm kind of ashamed to say that because I'm not the smallest man by any means. So I feel like a total pansy for not, wanting that brisket sandwich. But I'm definitely coming back because that place had a good vibe to it. Had bikers and, bikes, beer, and barbecue. I mean, that's
okay. All right.
It was like a bunch of like an old car sitting out front that had been a classic car, hot rodish type theme and bikes combined. I wanted a hat from there, and I went back in to look for a hat. I thought they had merchandise.
They were all gone. I looked online too. You couldn't even get them anymore, which was a shame. Cause
it's like a local. It's not a. I wouldn't say it's a local chain to the Carolinas.
It's a regional
chain. There you go.
And I mean, shout out to Nick Overholt. He's the one that actually introduced me to that place because, of course, he's been living down there 4 or 5 years, and I'd go visit him and stuff. And every time I'd go down, we'd meet up at a different joint, different kind of place to try or something. And after we went there, now it was like, all right. Every time I go down there, that was a place that kind of stuck. So if I go down there with new people or people hadn't been there before, I enjoy taking them because it is a really cool spot. Like I'd go down there with Nick sometimes, and we hang out or whatever, and wake up the next morning, and we'd go to Mac's since we'd watch football first games. 1 to 4. It's kind of like
give a shout out to Nick. He's been to Cameron Indoor Stadium with me, man, a few games. And,
yeah.
If he's listening to this show, I know Hokie got go Duke.
He if you're down in Carolina, you see him next time, tell him to take you to Mac's. It's I think Bowden, your first time was talking about good memories of the podcast. Chris Williams and the Smart Mod guys, asked us to go down to Caraway and shoot this little promo or something, for the tour coming up, and it was really cool because I got to go down there all day and hang out with Hollywood Jeff Hammond, who's probably a Hall of Fame crew chief if he isn't yet. He's gonna be, and he's big on TV and stuff. Just hung out with him all day, listening to cool stories, and told Bowden on the way back, said, "Y'all ever been to Mac's before?" No, and I'm gonna tell you, I've never been disappointed. The food has been on point every single time, no matter. I mean, their burgers are fire. I mean,
John Curtis made it a point to go back through there took his wife. John went all the way to Carolina just to go to Mac's Speed Shop. So yeah, that was a good choice there.
You guys mentioned all the food in North Carolina, and
we're suckers for food.
Working the games at Cameron Indoor Stadium, oftentimes it's a 7 p.m., 9 p.m. game. If I'm working my day job, I'm leaving out 3:30, 4 o'clock. I have yet to. I need to experience more of the restaurant scene in North Carolina because, you take a Duke game. Let's take a 7 o'clock game on ESPN that I work. It goes to 9 o'clock. By the time you do the press conference, post conference, and all that stuff, it's 10:30. Nothing's open. So I have spent a lot of times, eating.
I could recommend some really good bars on the way back in Chapel Hill for you to stop at and get you a bite.
Well,
Chapel Hill had a Raleigh-Durham area. I mean, everywhere around there.
Just make sure you wear your Duke stuff when you go in there.
Chapel Hill actually let me work a game this year. So hey, what can I say?
Those are people who are rational and work in the office and facilitate. They're not going to be there when you're going to that Carolina bar at 10 o'clock, 11:30 at night after a show just to get, I'm just passing through getting some food. Well, not in here, Duke boy.
Yeah, because they got when you walk up, they got the music playing, and when you walk in the door with the Duke colors on, all the music stops and everybody's staring at you. Believe you in the wrong place.
I'll have neutral colors on, so they won't know who I am.
Believe you in the wrong place, man.
So while we're on that, let's talk about that because that's a big reason why Freddie is here. Last time he was on the show, we kind of talked about this upcoming season and everything, and today, I mean this year it was Coach K's final dance, and what a dance it was. I guess we're going to start from the end and rewind it. Duke and Carolina in the Final Four. I mean, could you imagine a bigger moment to walk away from the game?
Not at all. I pulled all my hair out, and which
Clearly.
It shows.
It wasn't too much difficulty, but let's talk about that. I was considering going down to the Final Four. I would not get credentials for it because I worked the NCAA tournament in Greenville, South Carolina, when they beat Cal State Fullerton and Michigan State. I'd had to fly out to San Francisco to work it and then go to New Orleans. Well, as a part-time media guy, San Francisco and nobody was paying for that at the time. So I was considering driving down to New Orleans, to work the Final Four. Duke, Carolina, what an epic showdown. But after seeing the result, I'm kind of glad I didn't. And I had with my day job, I had a business trip in Northern Virginia I had to go to. So I was watching Duke UNC in the hotel room on the TV, and lots of emotions. I can't give you a good rundown of the game because I will not go back and watch it. and I have this thing of helping things block out of my memory, but.
I was going to say, you blocked this out. I'm surprised you even remember this.
Yeah, you're saying this game, does it even exist in your mind?
It's so bittersweet because you want to be able to celebrate it because win or loss, you're celebrating a phenomenal career.
Well, yeah.
But
let me put
to not only go out to a loss, but to be your final game against Carolina.
I was on a business
lose,
trip
a team you should have beat. I would have won the pool. I would have won the effing pool if Duke could have just pulled it out. Instead, freaking Hannah Everhart wins it and lines Matt Everhart's pockets out there in Austin. Bad beats. Talk about getting kicked in the nutsack. When you lose to Josh Grice in fantasy or Matt Everhart in this, it's double punishment. It really sucks. So I was rooting for Duke hard.
I mean, to put it, I was on a business trip, and I was like, okay. My buddy went to New Orleans, and he tried to convince me. And after looking, ticket prices were $700 on the low end. And probably, I saw some seats mid-range, $5,000.
Dude, Eric Church canceled a major concert like in Texas or something. And people gave him a lot of hell. Yeah. People gave him all kinds of hell for. I mean,
that was wild. You never hear of anybody doing that.
If I got that kind of money and I'm famous and I'm a diehard, he was UNC, I believe.
Yeah,
UNC
he's
sports
UNC,
fan, I'm going to do what I want. And you know what? You'll come to the next show.
But you know what? It's kind of like admirable that he did that. Because any other time it's like, they're real selfish and this, that, and
it humanizes him. Absolutely. It's like, hey,
if you're a sports fan of any kind of sport, it could be racing, it could be anything, and you see somebody cancel because they want to go pull for their college team, pro team, whatever. You kind of got to get
I see where people are irritated about it, though, because there were a lot of people, that made trips, made plans, flights maybe, hotel rooms, things like that. I mean, I get it. I get both sides of it. So,
plus, people already flew down there more than likely for that. So, yeah, I get that.
After looking at New Orleans and all that, by the time you looked at, I knew media people that were looking to, bunk with other
New Orleans
people.
is not a very accommodating city either for hotels and stuff.
And I calculated everything, and I on the low end, very low end, $4,000. On the high end, $6,000. And I'm thinking, okay, Freddie, I can watch this on HD TV,
yeah,
for free, or I can. Skillos Lawn Care is going to probably have to pick up some extra yards or something. But I didn't make it. My buddy, who lived closer to New Orleans, which was more easier for him, went and did it. I had a backup plan. If we beat UNC and we play that would have been awesome. If we play Kansas or whoever, in the championship game, I'm going to go down to Cameron Indoor Stadium. I had a hotel booked already for Monday night, and I'm going to, win or lose, I'm going to be there when the bus pulls back with those players. And because it's like my business trip is over on Sunday. I'll, if they make the championship game, win or lose, I'm going to be there. Talk to the players, get some video from my new website and all that stuff. And, of course, we didn't get past UNC, so I had to get on Expedia and cancel that room real quick.
I bet a lot of people were pretty irritated when that happened.
So it was – we'll back it up just a little bit. To see them lose to UNC at the last game in Cameron, I wasn't at that game, thank God. was humbling. The media, it was a big-time media show. ESPN blew it out the water. Coach K's ceremony, farewell tour. I like the speech Coach K made at the end. He came out in front of the crowd and he says, they just got beat bad by UNC at home. Coach K's last game, he's like, this is not acceptable. And for all of them trying to glorify him, the man's like, okay, we can't do this. This is not acceptable at all. We need to turn this around. They turned it around. They're going to hang a Final Four banner this fall in Cameron. Granted, they did lose to UNC. But on his last, he's got 5 national championships. On his last season, he did hang a Final Four banner and, kind of went out on a decent high note.
Well, on the way, and I have to mention this, on the way to that miraculous Final Four matchup, both teams, of course, being ACC teams, that is one banner Coach K will not be hanging, or Duke will be hanging next year, is that ACC tournament championship banner. Does anybody in here, trivia question, know who will be hanging that banner next season?
I do.
Tournament. Now, the ACC is the one, I'm pretty sure ACC is the one major basketball conference that doesn't really recognize the regular season champion, do they? I mean, I guess they might recognize them, but
I
not
think
really.
Duke was a regular season champion. Honestly, if you're asking me who the champion is, it's Virginia Tech.
No, but the ACC is the only. I'm pretty sure they're the only conference that
he wanted
champion is.
He wanted
champion.
Julian to say Virginia Tech.
Yeah, I know what he was doing. He was fishing for me to come up with a response
For both of y'all. I mean, I'm just curious.
We call that trolling.
I think they actually, the champion is they recognize the champion as the ACC tournament champion, Virginia Tech.
Yeah,
but I believe
no regular season champion.
Duke has national championship banners, but I believe there is a regular season banner that may be hung.
I don't think there is.
I don't know
Because I'm pretty sure Virginia Tech won the regular season a few years ago or tied or something.
I can confirm
and
this.
Other conferences, Big East will give you the regular season.
And I will say this.
I can confirm this. Virginia does not hang a regular season banner. They
Duke
just
may not
do
either.
the national championship or the ACC tournament.
Is
Is that because they've never got one?
I mean,
I've gotta
you want to
check
start
this
this
out.
debate? We can start this debate if you'd like. I mean, national champions. I mean, we
Virginia
can start
Tech does
this.
hang NIT banners because I was but hey, you guys beat us in the ACC title.
Well, of course they're going to hang national because a school like that just doesn't. It's not. I mean, we can talk about football banners if we want to, and Duke and UVA, y'all on a different. But we're not going to get into all that. I mean, the NIT is if you win the championship, it's a big thing. But they do have a tournament championship banner. I mean, that is special in the ACC. So let's not take anything away. I mean,
you guys have a great coach.
And I
love the direction
really
you
thought
guys are going.
when they hired him. I was like, Buzz was our chance. Buzz Williams was our opportunity. He was bringing in these kind of people. We should have found a way to lock him in. And I said, Mike Young, it's just going to be another swing and a miss of one of these mid-major guys that has a miraculous season, and he comes in and in his first year, with the cupboard fairly bare, goes out and beats, I think, Michigan State #1 early in the season, a couple years ago or something. And now, of course, you get, just a lot of excitement.
I got to give credit to Virginia Tech as a Duke fan.
Julian, would you like to give credit to Virginia Tech?
You know what? I'll give credit to Virginia Tech. I think they're a sleeping giant in the making in the ACC.
You guys won the ACC,
and that
really
makes me sick to come out to say that. But I think what Mike Young is doing there is he's taking what Buzz Williams had started, and he's just making that program even better. I mean,
Virginia Tech is a basketball school now.
It's turned into a basketball school.
Which is fine
it
by
really
me.
is.
It really is.
The state of Virginia is turning into a big basketball school. I mean,
UVA.
Virginia is always a perennial favorite. Liberty, JMU's done pretty well in basketball.
VCU and George Mason have made a Final Four in the past 15, 20 years.
So, Virginia's turned into a little hotbed. I mean, is it going to be like UNC Tobacco Road type deal? Who knows? But
but all Carolina is UNC and Duke. Once in a blue moon, NC State, but they never get it together. Wake had a few good years when they had.
Yeah.
But, it is Duke and Carolina. And in Virginia, it kind of does. It spreads out. You got Virginia Tech, UVA, VCU, Liberty, George Mason. I mean, ton of schools in this state to make. Radford's made a couple, nice runs here in the past few years. I mean, it's pretty interesting. And college, that's what I like about college is basketball is pretty much the only sport I can still football just doesn't do it for me anymore. I'm sorry if I'm tuning in and this final score is 66-63. It's just that's not what I want to watch.
Well, I would say
it's razzle dazzle.
Lost to Virginia Tech. I think it was Brooklyn was the ACC tournament. The loss to Virginia Tech was a wake up call for Duke. The loss to Carolina at home with the media hoopla at Cameron Indoor Stadium was a wake up call for Duke. And they turned it on in the NCAA tournament and went past, was it Cal State Fullerton? Michigan State was the last game I worked. Tom Izzo, Hall of Famer, versus K. I can say that was the last game I worked. K got the best of Izzo, and then, they went on to, was it Texas Tech?
Yeah, so that's what I want to talk about real quick is that Michigan State game.
Yeah.
Tom Izzo and Coach K. I mean, you look at two thoroughbreds in the world of college basketball. That game was a nail-biter, Freddie. I remember watching that. I know you were covering. You were there.
I was behind the basket
at the game. I mean, what was that like? What was that like being there in that atmosphere doing your job?
That's actually the first time I've worked NCAA tournament. And you've got Miami fans. You got University of Southern California fans. You've got Auburn fans. You got so many teams that are in the Greenville region. And so I'm watching the other games, but you got a nail-biter with Izzo and Michigan State, and I'm like, Coach K has had the better of Izzo. If I go back to the 2015 Final Four, in the Final Four we beat Michigan State. I think it's right around by 20 points on to go beat Wisconsin to win Coach K's 5th national championship. I actually got to work that one, so I can say I was at K's last one, which was a kind of cool little thing. But I was like, is Izzo going to get him? Is Izzo going to be the one that gets the last win? But Jeremy Roach. Jeremy Roach turned it up at the end, and he's coming back for Duke this year. We lost pretty much everybody if we're talking about who's coming in next year. But Roach turned it up at the end and helped Duke pull it off.
Well, I got in my little note sheet here. They had 5 players in double figures in that Michigan State game, and you talk about what Coach K said after the UNC and then Virginia Tech game. Duke really came into the tournament kind of limping in a way.
In on crutches for sure.
And the Cal State Fullerton game, okay, whatever. I mean, you're expected to beat them, but this Michigan State game was a really big wake up call. It could have been a huge wake up call. Michigan State coming into the tournament, not really the perennial as they've always been. I mean, they kind of limped across the finish line too. I mean, for a while, Joe Lunardi and other people had them out of the tournament, but they snuck in very late and drew that incredible matchup against Duke.
And can I say this, as Virginia fans will get a kick out of this? Michigan State is not somebody you want to see in the NCAA tournament because UVA fans they're that well and good.
You're right. Virginia has seen Michigan State multiple times in the NCAA tournament, and each time they saw them, they went back to the house. The one year, Virginia was just cruising right along. Michigan State come in, they were like the 8th or 9th seed. See ya, Virginia. I mean, that was just incredibly frustrating. But I do want to talk about the next game, Duke and Texas Tech. Texas Tech was actually up at the half in that game too. So you had another game where they were struggling, but then they really turned it on in the second half, Freddie.
It was a dogfight, man. And I believe that was somewhere the Bay Area, San Francisco, I believe, right before the Final Four, And I honestly thought we were not going to win that game. And I was like, but if you lose, Texas Tech, it was a true dogfight. What did you see out of that game, man?
I saw a lot. I saw a lot of what you were referring to as well. Texas Tech, you talk about a good coach. They got a darn good coach down there in Texas Tech. And, I know a lot about Texas Tech. They played Virginia in the national championship final game in 2019, and they gave Virginia a lot of fits in that game. They're a sleeping giant, too, if you want me to be honest, because the shakeup, and we could discuss this later on in the show, but the shakeup that's coming to college sports with Texas leaving the Big 12, Oklahoma leaving the Big 12, Houston's coming to the Big 12.
NIL?
Yeah, NIL. I mean, that's a whole separate conversation.
What's NIL?
Name, image, likeness.
Oh yeah. Hey, look, I'm all for that.
where
I'm
players
sorry.
make a-
I'm all for that. I'm sorry. Like, if you're gonna sit there and tell me that Michael Vick shouldn't get a cut, I mean, Michael Vick built Virginia Tech to what it is today. If it wasn't for him, that town would not. I mean, he deserves a cut of that. I'm sorry. Plenty of Duke basketball players over the years, their likenesses.
Had Zion Williamson, had name, image, likeness been in effect with the NCAA around Zion Williamson, who knows what kind of money that guy could have.
And I'm fine with it.
That left Duke this year with NIL. He's got a,
And I don't want to hear this equality bullshit. I'm sorry. Look, dude, if you're the second string punter or something like that, you don't deserve anything except your scholarship or your free tuition and going about your life. If you're the starting quarterback of Alabama or Clemson and you're selling 1,000 jerseys a game or something like that, and you're on, the cover of EA Sports or some shit, yeah, you deserve. And if you can't make your money, then let them go to the NFL and make their money.
This is where I got to agree with you. People got to realize, and Billy said it right, NIL. Somebody like Paolo that went number 1 in the NBA draft this last Thursday, he's going to make that money. Let me pick a sport. I played soccer in high school. I didn't play at college level, but a Ferrum College soccer player is not going to command millions. You've got to understand it's only certain players that are going to make this. If people can realize, and a water polo or, forgive me, whatever sports are not going to command it.
Some of these sports are bullshit.
The Alabama quarterback is going to command it. The Alabama running back, and he should.
Yeah.
It's SEC country. You as a Division III or whatever, low tier college, playing a sport, even football or basketball, you're not going to make the money that Paolo did as a number 1 draft pick.
No, and dude, and honestly though, if you are a firm college player and they sell jerseys at the store and they sell 5,000 of your jerseys, you know what? You should probably get a cut of that as well. It's just not. It's not realistic.
Just don't think
it's just not realistic. It's not. I mean, if it happens, it happens. But I mean,
you're probably not coming out as a millionaire at a smaller school or several hundred thousand, such as a D1 guy that is going to play pro.
The thing of it is, you got to realize it's the money making sports, college football, men's college basketball. Those are the 2 sports that keep a lot of programs up and running.
Yeah.
So I don't think there's anything wrong with cashing in on your likeness. It is your likeness, for goodness sakes. I mean, how come has it been if you played the violin and you got really good at it and you were performing everywhere while a college student? What's the difference with that? What is the difference between some college student getting a hit record and getting a hit record deal? To me, there's no difference. It's
or a scientific breakthrough or something like that.
Exactly.
You're not going to say,
please don't give me this junk about, well, it's more than just sports. It's more than just about sports. No, it's not. When sports is bringing in your revenue to your school, I'm sorry, that's going to take precedent over everything else. Even the other sports like badminton and tennis, I'm sorry, not offending anybody who loves those sports. If you're good at it, that's great. It's tremendous. But it's not bringing in the revenue like the major sports.
Yeah, money talks. At the end of the day, money talks.
People have to realize college football pays for a lot of budgets. Pays for probably the majority of budgets. There are a few schools such as Duke or basketball.
Yeah, and even
UNC,
even most Big 6 college football programs are still operating in the red. You know what I mean? Even
absolutely.
So where Alabama, for every Alabama and Clemson, you have 10 other schools that don't even come close and are still probably, just hemorrhaging money just to be able to get to freaking, women's water polo or some stupid shit.
Because
no disrespect to the women's water polo, but I mean, come on. I mean, listen.
No, I don't think there's any disrespect intended. It's just the interest is not there. The interest is not there compared to these major sports. And, I hate to take this back to racing, but even some of the local short tracks that struggle with attendance, they're not going to draw the notoriety like, the big super speedways would do. I mean, it's just not going to happen that way. So I think the NIL is probably, I dare say, and I don't like doing hot takes, but I dare say this NIL ruling is the biggest thing that's happened to college sports in a long, long time. It is a game changer. It is going to be a crucial thing going forward. And let me tell you, this is also going to affect recruiting in a big-time way. Forget all the changes in college football and basketball and all college sports with teams moving. Like, it was funny, like, it's almost been 20 years since Virginia Tech, Boston College left the Big East to go to the ACC. That kind of startled the tidal wave that we've seen in recent years, and that's not going to stop. So I'm like you. I mean, if Zion was around, I mean, if he could have created that, go for it.
Well, like you're talking about, NIL's changed it, and Duke has hired Rachel Baker as the men's basketball general manager. And basically what she's been hired for is to help players navigate the NIL opportunities. She worked for Nike. So, I mean, it's...
Yeah, and
Duke's always usually ahead of the game with the creative content, social media content, trying to follow the patterns of basketball. So what do? They go out and get somebody from a shoe company that has been around, the grassroots of basketball and NIL. So when these players come in that are only going to be in college for 1 year and go to the NBA, I know I got a lot of friends that are like, oh, you should stay 4 years. You should stay 4 years. You can always get an education, but if you can sign a contract for millions of dollars or several $100,000 and change your family's life, you got to do it.
When I was younger,
Yes.
I would always, because I was a selfish fan, I was like, man, why wouldn't you want to stay 4 years? Why wouldn't you want to stay 4 years? I mean, you're living the life. Because as a college kid, I'm thinking, dude, you show up to, class when you want to, when you don't. People buy drinks everywhere. Chicks dig you. But now that I'm older and I realize what opportunity really means and how rare these opportunities are to get paid money to do what you love and be, I would encourage anybody to take that chance. The second you get money, you can always go back to college. And in fact, in some sports like baseball, if you take if you go play Major League Baseball and decide to come back, they'll pay for all your college to finish up. So you get a scholarship by just going. So why wouldn't you just?
Yeah, so you can be drafted. You could be drafted while you're in college in major leagues. But until you make that first start in the big leagues, you still have your amateur availability. So and it's a little different for all sports. Obviously, in the NBA, correct me if I'm wrong, Freddie, if you declare for the draft, don't you lose your eligibility? Unless
you sign with an agent. I think if you sign with an agent.
That's right. I stand corrected.
You can test the waters now.
Yeah.
So they're loosening up on that.
I stand corrected. If
but
you sign the
NCAA
agent,
is about as worse run as our government is. So,
It's because they're a governing body that, absolutely. It's one and the same.
So let me ask you this. Who was the last NBA basketball player that was drafted out of high school?
Didn't they like 2010 or something?
They stopped it, didn't they?
They stopped it, I think.
They stopped that because you have to have eligibility to play in the NBA. You have to have.
They have to just be 1 year out of high school. So
yeah,
a lot of these guys are going and playing NBA D or L leagues or going overseas for a year.
Some of them are going overseas.
Yeah.
I would actually have to Google it to see who the last guy is. But some of them.
But you can look at it. Somebody's got a phone here.
Some of them are, like you said, Billy, going overseas, make a lot of money.
Yeah, make a couple $100,000.
I mean, it stands out to me thinking Kobe Bryant and LeBron James. I just didn't know if there'd been any since.
Yeah, but Kevin Garnett, Jermaine O'Neal.
I said since then as the only ones I could.
LeBron would have been, help me out, 2003.
Yeah.
LeBron's the last one I can think of, but I know he couldn't have been the last.
I think it was like 2008 or 29 or 2010
so there's
or
still
something.
more guys, yeah.
Yeah,
It's got to be. Well, I mean, it wasn't a ton that came. It's just that, I guess, notable ones maybe.
Yeah, like Sebastian Telfair, I'm pretty sure, went straight out of high school, and that was back in.
I got it on the Google machine. The last player of note was Andrew Bynum in 2004.
Wow.
In 2005, you got Monte Ellis, Lewis Williams, Andre Blatch, Amir Johnson. I mean, those names, the casual basketball fan does not know who those names are,
no.
but I really think that if you're coming out of high school to go to the NBA, I mean, you have to be a pretty special talent. And I agree with the eligibility. You need something to create your path. Even if it's in the minor leagues. I mean, let's face it. I mean, the NCAA for a while was looked at as the NBA minor league system, even though the NBA would hate to admit that, but that's basically what was going on.
Well, I don't know why they'd hate to admit it, because it didn't cost them a damn thing.
It didn't cost them nothing, but there's always been that rivalry between the two, just like the NFL. The NFL and the NCAA are like oil and gasoline. I mean, you put them together, and that's not a good match. I mean, but they have an eligibility rule of 2 years.
I think it's 3.
I thought it was.
It's 3. It's either junior year or redshirt sophomore, I think, for the NFL. You have to be 3 years out of high school.
I can't imagine what it was like for Kobe Bryant. I mean, Kobe Bryant was the first one I remember. I know there was more before that, but Kobe was the first one I remember. I remember seeing it. It was like, this kid's going to come out of high school and going to play professional basketball. Can you imagine what that's like for a high school senior? You know, he's doing exams and finals and skipping class, and then the next year he's on a jet traveling with a team.
Los Angeles, mind you.
Yeah, to LA.
City, yeah.
Can you imagine? I don't know how you can put that into perspective. And I give LeBron James the same credit. I mean, he came out of in the same situation. I'm not the biggest fan of LeBron, but I am of Kobe. But I just cannot put that into perspective. And you know where LeBron came from. It was, you know, he didn't come out of the best situation, if I'm not mistaken, is the area he come from and stuff. I mean, literally.
Akron, Ohio.
But Kobe did, though. Kobe had a fantastic father who taught him how to play. Kobe Bryant can speak like 7 different languages as well. He was one of the most intelligent, smartest, hardworking. If there was never a such thing as Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant would be Michael Jordan.
It would be.
The only reason that, you know, their games, and once again, that's a whole other argument. Because you're talking about when you put it in the context of time period and position. Like, I'm not going to take anything away from LeBron James. I think he is a fantastic player. I think he can play pretty much any position on the court and facilitate. And I think he is a fantastic talent. I also think he's a big crybaby waste of talent. I think he could be twice as much as he was if he would just put more time into his game instead of flopping and running his damn mouth. But, you know, he just, in my opinion, doesn't belong in the same conversation as Michael and Kobe.
I don't either. I don't think he does, just because of their ability to handle the team, to be the team leader, and that there's more to being a great player than just scoring a lot of points. And
but LeBron, I'm just not taking away. It is very, very hard to win an NBA title. The fact that he's won 2 or 3, and the fact that he's been to multiple. And the fact that he took Cleveland to a NBA final.
It says a lot.
It says a lot. The dude is a phenomenal athlete.
He is a phenomenal.
And let's also not take this away from him. If social media existed when Michael Jordan was playing, the man would have been crucified. You know, he was a womanizer. He was a gambler. He was a drinker. He was everything you wouldn't want your kids to idolize, although every kid in the country was idolizing him.
And when we were kids, Michael Jordan was on every billboard. I mean, there was
everywhere.
There was pictures of Michael Jordan bigger than most buildings. And
yeah.
And that's the way we seen it. That's what we would see as a kid. But used to see those Michael Jordan billboards all over the place that were like bigger than buildings. Like they would be stuck on the side of buildings in New York City and Chicago, and when they would go overseas and play for the Olympics, it was just massive.
Well,
and how incredible! But that was the following. He was larger than life. But had social media been there, what would it have been?
They would have railed against him. They would have been, and that's one thing I have to give LeBron as well, is in the age of social media where everybody's got a camera and everywhere you go, people are watching you. You've never heard any scandals of, you know, being in a hotel room at 3 o'clock in the morning with a couple of hookers and cocaine and gangbanging. You know, you've never heard
of that
of
LeBron. He has kept his nose clean.
He has stupid and ridiculous and irritating
on the course.
Political opinions. I don't think he knows what the hell he's talking about half the time. He probably should shut up. But I'm not going to knock the man. You know, I don't agree with a lot of things he does. I don't agree with his flopping on the court sometimes. I think if he was playing in the 80s against the Bad Boys, Dennis Rodman would just jar him every play, and he would be a nobody. Well, but he's playing within the balance. He's playing within the confines of what he's allowed.
He's got.
So I'm not going to take anything away from him. He is a phenomenal
athlete.
He's a phenomenal basketball player. He is a champion. He's an Olympic champion. He is a good man and a father by all accounts. But
I think he's
do
pretty
not
smart
put him in a
businessman.
conversation with Jordan and Kobe anymore. You can't do it. Not on the basketball front. Stop doing it. You can't.
I think he's a smart businessman. too.
LeBron's made some interesting investments. I mean,
isn't
I
he?
hear about this all the
Isn't
time.
he an owner of your favorite baseball?
He is a 5% owner of Fenway Sports Group, what owns the Boston Red Sox.
Oh, he is?
Among other things. So, and I get reminded of that all the time. But yeah, I think this could go down a rabbit hole of something completely
Every conversation we
different.
have could go down a rabbit hole.
Okay, well, as long as we're give permission to go down a rabbit hole. If it was not for social media, I don't know if LeBron James would be as vilified.
Fair take.
If there was social media, I think, like Billy's already said it, Michael Jordan would have absolutely been crushed.
Oh,
Yes.
they would have lost their minds over him.
So, and the whole Like Mike campaign and all this
Like
stuff.
Mike.
That
Like to
that
be
gives what's come out over the years against Michael Jordan gives you a reminder. You better watch who your heroes are because your heroes may let you down, and that goes with anybody. But the way they were pumping him up, I mean, Michael Jordan, Mike Tyson, Hulk Hogan, scandals have come out about every single one of them since then. Because in the 80s and 90s, that's what you heard about. That's who all the kids wanted to be like. So it's a very interesting comparison. But you talk about rings. Steph Curry now has 4 rings in 8 years.
Yeah, I mean,
Nobody talks about that.
No,
He's
a
changed
lot
the
of
game of
plenty
basketball.
people. He's. I'll be
Steph
honest with
has
you. I did
sped
not
it
even.
up.
I had to look at Google today to find out that the NBA Finals were over. I didn't even realize that they were done. That's how little the NBA popped up in any of my social media feeds. I don't
I watched
follow
the
any of it.
finals.
I didn't watch any of it.
I
wish
watched partial of it as a guy that loves college basketball.
But
I
wasn't
don't
Golden
watch
State
as much NBA.
Wasn't Golden State like god awful last year or something? Weren't
They were
garbage?
beyond god awful. They were the last in the league.
They tanked last year, didn't they?
Yes.
Curry was hurt. They decided to tank. They
They were all hurt.
Klay Thompson was hurt.
Clay.
They
They end
all-
up getting a great draft pick and then can just run at it again.
Klay Thompson.
Andre
Draymond
Iguodala,
Green,
which is one
Andre
of my
was
favorite.
hurt.
Andre
Steph was
Iguodala
hurt.
is one of my favorite players in the
Iguodala's
NBA.
still there.
He came back.
Really?
He got traded to Miami, and then his contract expired, and he re-signed with Golden State.
Yeah.
He's one of my favorite players in the NBA. He's just a utility guy that's always there, not doing stupid stuff.
Look, the key with Golden State's going to be Jordan Poole. I mean, this kid
Yeah.
comes off the bench, and I mean, he could throw up 25 real easy. I mean, they were able to get him because
So that's because everybody was hurt, and they had a
everybody
terrible
got
year.
hurt. And Gary Payton's son ended up being with the Warriors. This dude had like 4 or 5 10-day contracts over the last year, and he made a name for himself. So
It's what's great.
It's crazy.
Steph Curry has got 3 rings from Michael Jordan and 3
Not
rings from
Kerr.
Steve Kerr. Steve Kerr's got 3 rings from Michael Jordan and 3 rings from LeBron James
For beating him 3 times.
for beating him 3 times.
It's pretty good.
I think he's got one from the Spurs too, doesn't he?
As a winner.
Yeah, he
player?
does. Yeah, he won a title.
I think he's
with
got
the
9
Spurs.
rings total. I
think
thought.
that's
Somebody
right.
look that up. I don't know. If,
Yeah,
I think he won one with the
He's
Spurs
definitely
too.
past Robert Horry material because Robert Horry.
well, Robert
got 2
Horry
rings.
won those all on the court. Though.
Yeah, he did on the court, but I'm saying as far as number of rings total, like Robert Horry got
Well,
what,
Bill
2 with
Russell
the Rockets.
should be up there at the top.
Oh yeah, of course Bill Russell. But
You're talking
Phil
modern day.
Jackson.
I understand where you're going
modern
with it.
day. I didn't know if I made that point correctly or not, but the fact of the matter is, Billy did bring up an interesting point. I just feel like the buzz for the NBA is just not there at all. I mean, I really wasn't into it. I wasn't into the finals. You know, even from like a casual aspect, I'm not going to claim to be the biggest NBA guy or the biggest NBA fan. There's so many other sports that's just on my radar. I can't add anything else to it. That's why I'm struggling with hockey. I love hockey.
I'm hooked
I don't
now.
I don't know where I'm going to put it because I'm big. When hockey rolls around, baseball playoffs are in full gear. Racing is in full gear still.
That's usually at the end of the
college
season.
football. So I mean, but yeah, I mean, and even the ratings. The ratings were awful for the NBA finals.
Well, I've been, and this has been such a bittersweet year for me for sports because I I am an Atlanta Braves fan, as you can see around here, and we won the World Series, first one since '95. I'm a Virginia Tech fan. We finally pulled through with an ACC tournament win in basketball. I'm a Colorado Avalanche fan, been since the day they set foot in Colorado. Got our third Stanley Cup last night. Beautiful things. And I just don't have – it's so hard for me to have the passion anymore. It's so hard for me to get up for it. And you know, just the last couple of years in general, just the ups and the downs and the ass kicks. And I get so sick and tired. Sports was always such a beautiful, beautiful escape. And I just get so sick. And it's not just one thing or the other. It's everything that I get. I just want to tune in and watch sports and be entertained. I don't care about the pregame flyovers and the pregame, you know, let's support this veteran here or there. Or let's talk about this Pride Month, or let's talk about this protest or something. I'm so sick of it. I don't care. I don't want to go and be reminded about some dude who got his legs blown off in Afghanistan so y'all can sell a few more kids on signing up for your stupid wars. You know, it's just all of it. Like, I just want to see the sports. So I have not been able to enjoy this run as a sports fan, as a diehard sports fan. I have not been able to enjoy this World Series and Stanley Cup run like I should be able to, and it's like it sucks, you know. Like,
I want things just to get back closer to normal.
Thank you. That's it.
You know, past this COVID stuff. I mean, for me, I worked 15 games last season, 11 in Cameron Indoor Stadium, and I had to do the negative COVID test to get in Cameron. And
what the hell are we still doing?
Yeah, I'm running through there right now.
Let me back up a little side story. I went to Countdown to Craziness at Duke, and it's Duke's Midnight Madness. And, of course, I did the negative COVID test. And you know Cole Fuller.
I don't like him, but I know him.
Yeah. Fantasy football team competitor.
Yeah, just and longtime friend, somebody I've hung out with forever, you know, brought me through some tough times. And, honestly, I can, you know, say with complete and total confidence, you know, kids cover your ears. Fuck you, Cole Fuller. But anyway, so continue on.
It's somewhat of a funny story. We're going down to the Midnight Madness, Countdown to Craziness for Duke, mid-October. I got my negative COVID test. You know, I'm good to go. Told Cole, I got a little bit of a cold, been coughing a little bit. I was like, I think I'm good, man. The test said negative. He's like, yeah, okay. So we're going down to Duke, you know, 2-hour drive from Franklin County. I get a Mountain Dew and a little convenience store in North Carolina. I taste it, and I was like, this thing is flat. I was like, what is wrong with this thing? I was like, okay, all right. So we go on down the road, and I get another one closer to Duke. This is even worse. I can't taste it. It's flat. And I'm like, okay, North Carolina, Pepsi down here. I worked for Pepsi back in the day. Shout out to Roanoke Pepsi Bottling Group. I was like, you guys.
No, listen, I'm not shouting them out. No, I walked away from a job interview a couple months ago. We can't shout them out.
We'll do another podcast
on
that one.
I just wanted to kind of see what they would offer. You know, no disrespect to my current job. If you're listening, my boss, I do like you. Yeah, just went in there like they were like, you need to wear a mask before you come in here for this interview. I'm like, you're gonna force me to wear a mask to an interview that requires me to deliver 40,000 pounds of liquid poison every single day to people. No thanks. I just walk right out. So no, we're not going to shout out Pepsi. We're not going to shout out.
But anyway.
So we're going down to the game. You know,
man, it's fun.
We got to wear the mask in Cameron. I'm not working it. I'm a fan. You know, the environment's loud. It's 2020 crazy year. We didn't make no games live. You know, it was what it was. Excited to be back. I'm coughing through the mask. I'm like, man, this cold is a little bit rough. You know, we leave the event, and I'm like, Cole, I think I'm good, man. The test was negative. We're driving back down the road. Cole hits a skunk. And he's like, you smell that?
Yeah.
Are you sure? Was it a skunky hit, or was it a skunky smell in the car? I'm just wondering.
Damn, I couldn't smell a thing. So I go home, and I get the
no smoke rolling out of the car or anything.
The PCR test or whatever,
yeah.
And I had COVID. So it just goes to show the testing was
you basically
the testing was off. It was off. People, vaccine or not, you could go in there with it. I went in there with it, and
it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous nonsense, essentially, at the end of the day.
That loss of taste and smell is the most bizarre thing you will ever experience. and you can't describe it.
I got home that night and I was like, I'm going to do one more test. I opened the fridge, took A1 steak sauce, turned it up.
Same?
And drank.
Yes.
And drank,
Yes.
And drank the quarter
Julian,
of a bottle.
did you by chance initiate this A1 steak sauce theory to these two? Because you talked to both of them. I just wondered.
No, I did not institute
So I
this
did it,
theory.
and
no.
when I turned it up, I drank about a quarter of the bottle. And this is somebody who gets heartburn real easy, and I had it the next day. I was like, I can't taste this. So basically, I had, I got tested, and the PCR, and I had it.
So that was what I did. Like I ordered out from Frank's, and I done got over COVID when it hit me. I was on past it, then went back to work and everything before I lost my taste and smell. I was eating a calzone or a roll from Hemus, and I took a bite of it. And I said, "Man, this ain't that much flavor." I kept eating it. And I was eating. I said, "Kelly, taste this and see if it's any good." She said, "Yeah, it tastes great." And I'm like, "But it just don't taste like much. I can't taste a thing." And I went like you, and I didn't tell her. I went there into the refrigerator, and I just started trying stuff. I'm like, I know this A1's going to have a taste to it. Nope. I know this vinegar is going to have a taste to it. Nope.
So I was like, yeah, I got to watch, because I was like, I started trying those things. I was like, okay, Freddie. Next day, I wake up with heartburn because I thought I was invincible, but I wasn't.
It's so weird because earlier in the year, I had pneumonia really bad.
Yeah,
I mean, I was knocked out for about 7 days, and I had 3 COVID tests. I took one at the store. I had 2 at Carilion Rona Camora. All 3 of them came back negative.
Did you lose your taste and smell?
I absolutely lost my taste and smell. And the thing of it is, I could not taste anything like salty or anything like that. The only thing I could taste was like sweet stuff. I could taste chocolate milk, and I could taste strawberries. That's it.
You know something weird?
So weird.
I could taste the chocolate and chocolate milk, but I couldn't taste the sweetness of it. That made no sense.
I was the same way.
So it's like I'd never had unsweetened chocolate milk until then. It was bizarre.
It was strange.
Like Billy was saying, I worked 11 games in Cameron, and so I had to go get negative tests before every game. And places in Rocky Mountain didn't offer them. Henry County, I think it was the Walgreens down there. I think they knew me by face.
Yeah.
When I pull up to the drive-thru, so you take on a 30, 40-minute drive the day before the game, and then, after working my day job, and then the next day, presenting all the paperwork, and then online or whatever, and then bam, going to the game. Put a lot of mileage last year. But I wouldn't trade it for anything but the negative testing stuff the day before the game, just to get into the game, added to the exhaustion, to being tired.
Did Cole get sick?
No, he didn't. So I was like, Cole, my bad if you do, but
That's
he
just
didn't.
so random.
He didn't.
Cole is on a heavy semen diet. I'm pretty sure he's got the antibodies. He's good. He's good.
Well, I think we better change the subject before we go.
Look, and everybody knows if I'm giving you this much crap, it's probably because I do love you. I love Cole. He's been a good friend for a long time. So
I don't know. You was giving Pepsi Cola shit.
I was, and that's well deserved. And in fact, did my daughter look at you, Jeff, when you walked up in here this evening and say, "My daddy hates you"?
Yep, that's exactly what she said. What'd you bribe her with?
I didn't. My wife was like, "What in the hell have you been saying to her? Did you tell her to say that?" I said, "No." I said, "She must have heard me over talking to you some point in time." God bless it. I hate Bodie. Because me and him will get into crazy arguments, on text chains and stuff, and he'll get on my last effing nerve, and I just want to punch him through his phone sometimes.
I will say,
my daughter has probably heard that a time or two.
I will say I enjoy watching those. I'm just sitting back with the popcorn like, okay, here they go again.
Billy's not the only one I have those conversations with. Usually it's one at work, too.
But Billy,
wait a minute, Jeff. Me and you've had a few conversations like that.
Oh, yeah. Well, me and Ryan just try to irritate you just for the hell of it. That's all.
Well, it usually works. Is Ryan Forbes, shout out. Ryan Forbes is the most irritating person I've ever met.
Ryan Forbes is the only member of our degenerate gambler text chain who has not graced the Appalachian Podcast microphones yet.
Hey, can I get in this text chain, or do you have to be in a group or something? Because I've heard about
So
it.
you do have to be in a group. That's the point of a text chain.
Yeah, Freddie.
But yeah,
I mean, is it another fantasy?
You should know.
Hey, is it another fantasy football league? I'm just checking.
well, no.
No, it's the one we did last year.
Oh, so I should already be in it.
We just did it. Well, we did it at Degenerate Gamblers just for betting, sports betting and stuff.
I want to jump in.
Yeah, we got no problem.
Yeah, somebody can add him right now, Julian. I don't even.
Yeah.
If you do you have an iPhone?
I do.
Okay,
yeah.
good. You're not going to screw up our rhythm. Then we can. We don't have to have one of you Android people in here making our links not work and things.
Links
of that
not
nature.
working. They just look weird. It's like Android aliens. I mean, it's no wonder they show up in green.
Look, I used to be an Android guy 100%, but then I got married. My wife had everything of hers on Apple, and I wasn't even a computer person. I said, well, I'll just make it easy and go to Apple, and it's been a very smooth transition. As much as I don't like Apple's practices, especially in the regions of China and Southeast Asia, it is what it is. And
There's no mistaking they make some fine products.
all of those products are made over there, and if there's going to be one, Apple, it's,
So on the gambling aspect, because Julian and I talk about it all the time, pick your brain, future bets. I'm all about that. Help me out because I'm not the best golf guy.
Well, hold on. Let's use this opportunity to talk future bets about college basketball. Since you are a Duke reporter, what's Duke looking like next year? What are the odds for next season? Who's
Let's
looking
talk
good in
about
college
it, yeah.
basketball?
So-
What's Tech looking like in college basketball? Because I don't pay attention anymore. I really
Tech,
don't.
I'm not for sure because my focus is on Duke, but they hired John Shire.
Well, after the fact that they just won the ACC tournament, your focus should being on
be
Tech
on
a
it,
little
yeah.
bit because they're going to be a thorn in your side, as they have been since about 05.
I will say the ACC schedule for Duke is out, and I'm thankful. I was hoping Case last year that he would play in Blacksburg because they bring the A game. They bring the Lane Stadium atmosphere inside it.
Let me ask a question real quick before we go deeper into this. In Coach K's tenure with teams he's played against in the ACC, I guess more than 10 or 15 times, other than Carolina, does Tech have the best record against him of any other school? Because I'm going to be honest with you, they have given him a run since they joined the ACC every single year. There's been a couple of years in there. But other than that,
I don't know the answer to it, but I can say if they're not at the top, they're close to it because of the games I've been blessed to work and go to as a fan in Blacksburg. I mean, Kyrie Irving's year when Kyrie Irving was hurt and he was sitting the bench, and it was 2011, and Virginia Tech pulled off the upset, and the fans rushed the court, and my two friends that graduated from Virginia Tech was like, Freddie, you coming down? Like, I don't sit up here in the stands.
Yeah.
Go do your thing. Go enjoy it. Back from J.J. Riddick's years.
yes, that was my first ever Duke.
It was either
experience.
2002 to 2006. I don't know the exact year.
The year that they went up there and beat JJ was 2005.
Okay,
it was early 2005.
I think my buddy Josh Fontaine. Shout out to you.
Me and Cole Fuller went to that game together.
Oh yeah, and I was there, and I think some of the chants toward JJ were pretty.
They were very much well warranted.
Yeah, there you go.
They were warranted.
And
yes, vulgar but warranted.
But Virginia Tech won that game. I remember leaving. I'm in my 20s, a little bit more cockier, upset as a Duke fan, and the guy I was leaving, he was like, "Hey, we beat you," and I was like, how many championship banners you got up in the stadium? And this guy's twice as big as me. And then I'm like, I'm going to head on out of here.
You had much more balls than Cole had because all Cole did was take his Duke hat and shove it underneath his jacket and walk out the door.
Well, I had the Toyota Celica, and I made the mistake of, I don't know if we talked about this in the last podcast or not. I can't remember.
We definitely did because that was a huge moment for me.
Okay. And I accidentally parked in, is it the Cage?
Yeah. That's
okay, whatever. And I think that's Virginia Tech student parking. And I had the Duke sticker on the back of the Celica when I got back to the car. The Celica was intact. The sticker was gone. I'm like, hey, let's get out of here, man. I was like, it's probably friends of mine from Franklin County that did it.
Dude, I'm more likely they know where Freddie's at. But I mean, talk about rivalry games. Like, I've had a chance to see Virginia and Virginia Tech several times in basketball. Mostly at Castle Coliseum, since it's just right up the road from where I live. I live in Roanoke, so 45 minutes down the road, I'm there. There was one year in 2018, maybe 2017. The years, I tell you, when you get older, the years just really just go together. And this is when Malcolm Brogdon was still at Virginia, so this tells you how long ago this was. That game went to triple overtime, and it was decided on a Virginia made a shot and it got stuck on top of the rim.
I remember that.
I remember
when
that.
that happens, it's an automatic turnover. The other team gets possession of the ball, and Virginia Tech storms right down the court and makes a game-winning layup, and that's it. So that was a really tough one, really tough pill to swallow, and I was not in the mood to hear about it on the way home. But
because you had like 6,000 text messages from me and Ryan.
yeah, pretty much between you two, just really giving me a hard time, which I can't imagine.
And Ryan will direct text you if you won't answer him in a group, he'll start blowing the other one up. Hey, you see that loss, Julian? He's like, I'm hitting Julian up. He can't resist.
Oh yeah, I mean he knows. Talk about Ryan. I love Ryan to death. Let's put that out there. But he really knows how to press my buttons.
Absolutely.
And Bodine to a point does.
No,
as well.
I egg him on.
We know that's what you do. You're like, hey, go ahead, Ryan. Hey, bring this up about LeBron James. hey, talk about sewage coming down from the Redskins.
Oh my God, we'll all get on Julian about that one because Billy has a hatred for the Redskins too.
I hate them. And no. I do not hate the Redskins. I was a lifelong Redskins fan. I despise the franchise. I despise Dan Snyder as an owner, as a philanthropist. Snyder's a great man. I mean, he sent airplanes down to Haiti when they had the earthquake a couple years ago with Pierre Garcon and whatever their other person from that island was. I mean, he's a decent enough human being, but as an owner, he has destroyed what I once loved. And when he changed it from the Redskins to the Commanders, that's my out. I have no affiliation or loyalty to DC or that franchise. My loyalty resided in that helmet.
To be fair,
with a Redskin who was created by a Native American and who thought it was it was a wonderful thing. And so you just, by taking the Native American away, you just shit on Native Americans.
Which you are one.
Yeah, I am. I'm part. I've got a lot of Native blood.
Well,
running
the
through
fact of the matter is, on that day where the name changed, that was a crushing blow, big time crushing blow. It hurt.
It was.
I
It
think
was
the
a straw.
sports in general.
It hurt me.
It was a straw.
Yeah.
But now you got the Cleveland freaking Guardians. What are we talking about here?
But
Come
I
on
also it's like you're under an insane amount of pressure to change your name. I kind of get it.
Yes, but you are a billionaire who should not give a rat's ass. You need to stand your ground for everybody else out there who should be standing their ground right now and not giving in to this nonsense.
Especially when they're billionaires.
Well, the fact of the matter is, though, now they're really paying for it because they can't get a stadium in Virginia, they can't get a stadium in Maryland, they can't get one in DC. Look,
let them die.
I love
And Billy brings up a great point because it's exactly what Elon Musk has done in this last year. I mean, he's a billionaire that's putting his money where his mouth is. Yeah. Stop this nonsense.
Yeah, at least force people to back up what the hell they're saying. At least force them to acknowledge their reasoning instead of just giving in to the mob mentality.
And what me and Julian were talking about this going to Bowman Gray the other night. Everybody wants to work from home now, but productivities went down. Same as kids being taught at home, that whole whatever happened there. Mm-hmm. The truth of the matter was, Elon Musk told his employees, if you want to work for home, Tesla is not your place you need to be working. That was it.
Well, listen, I can attest for that. I mean...
and a lot of different things.
I'm not going to disclose the company I work for just because
I don't do that on this show either.
Yeah, I don't really want to do that. They treat me very well. I'll go ahead and say that. They give me a great living. But I don't feel the need to talk about that on this podcast. But
it's nobody else's business.
The fact of the matter is, in my role, in my job, I can't work from home. And I can't manage people that do because you don't know. There's a trust system, and you don't know what people are doing behind closed doors when they have all this distraction. How can you get anything done with a room full of kids, a room full of dogs, the distractions? It's really hard to do that. And I'm personally glad that we didn't go down this rabbit hole of, hey, we're moving everything remote. This is great. We can come to the office. No, because let me tell you why. working from home has little benefits.
It's depressing, too.
If you do it every now and then, it's okay. But when you're already just being away from folks and being alone and isolated was the word I was trying to look for. Man, that's tough. That's tough when you have no purpose. And I'm not talking about like a divine purpose. That's not what I'm talking about here. I'm talking about a purpose for getting up every day. And that purpose cannot be done from home.
And that purpose can't be walking to the living room. That's what it was.
You need to go out and travel and be with other people. That is what God intended for us to do, was to be with other people. Fellowship. It's in the book.
Yeah, somebody that works with students, I've got to look at you eye to eye to connect with you.
Right.
You know, the computer stuff, it's great, and I use it a lot, but at the same time.
And I think, and that's an underappreciated trait right there as well, because if you look in other parts of the countries during all this nonsense, you know, like the teachers' unions in Illinois and stuff, I mean, they're making all these like demands and whatnot just to be able to get back to school and stuff. And you can really tell through their demands, they don't really care about getting back to school. They would prefer to sit at home and do this because they don't spend the money to get there. They don't have to deal with them. In rural areas, it's different. Our teachers want to be around their kids. They want to be able to teach them and be able to reach out to them and give them that experience. I mean, it's just it speaks a lot about our area in general.
I just saw something, and we'll come back to that. Duke is offering a creative content job, and you would have to.
I'm jumping on that.
You would have to be with the team and going to games and all that.
Never mind.
And I was looking. I was like, somebody on the social media made a comment. Is this a work at home job? And I'm like, I wanted to reply, but I was like,
you're not the person for this job. If you've got to ask that question.
I was like, do you not understand? Creative content, you got to be at the game. You got to have photos. You got to upload to Twitter. You've got to get to dunk. You've got to get.
You've got to be there.
Are you going to take a photo of your HDTV?
You can't do it from home. It's like watching a game on TV. It's like great, but you can't. It's a different experience. And
if you're a creative content person, you've got to be at Cameron Indoor Stadium, at Castle Coliseum.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, it goes back further. I mean, it kind of touches on last week's episode. Once again, we can kind of circle back around to that. You're never going to get anywhere if you're sitting at home remotely arguing with people online about this or this or this. You got to be there in person. You got to experience things.
Yeah,
speak to the people face to face, and you'll get a whole lot further. Same goes for work. You know,
look, you're wasting your time if you're arguing with people online. I mean, social media is great for what it's supposed to do for networking type things. But also, it is a freaking disease.
It's a cesspool.
All it is
a disease.
It is an awful place to be because you have keyboard warriors that think they have an opinion about something instead of actually, doing their research and going out and really fighting for what they believe in.
I watched a guy on Bob Pockrass's Twitter feed attack him the other week because he claimed about Carson Hocefar's broken foot.
Yeah.
Claimed it was nothing but a lie. It was a scandal. Did you see that?
I see that all the time.
He absolutely ripped Bob to pieces. He said there's no way he could have drove with a broken foot. It was his throttle pedal. I could drive with a broken leg on the throttle now. I couldn't with the clutch.
Well, they put a plate in so he could be able to do that. And also, genius, talking about that Twitter person, Carson Hocefar got out after the first caution.
Yeah,
and Daniel Suarez took over for the rest of the race. So, and that's what social media is a bunch of bullies.
He also, when they
it's a bunch of people who used to get bullied because they never took up for themselves, and now they can collectively get online.
Keyboard warriors.
Yeah,
I've got the solution for that. I've got the solution for that. Coming from someone who did get bullied. I did because I was an overweight child. I have no qualms about admitting that right now.
Hey, dude, I got bullied. I think everybody got bullied by somebody.
But you know what I did about it? I usually just laughed it off and said, yeah, you're right. You're right. I'm a biscuit away from 400. What's it matter to you? Okay? And I still do that to this day. But, social media.
Oh, dude, even today, you guys can look at me right now. I don't ever have a bad hair day.
Well-
a student or a person to come by and say something, I'm like,
Look, the fact
Yeah,
of the
I'm living
matter
the dream.
is,
Shine your
we've
head for a
got-
nickel.
I'm ready in 3 minutes. I tell my wife, I'm like, I look this good when I wake up. I look this good when I go to bed. I was like, you are one lucky person. Okay, let me back up on that.
look, the fact of the matter, there's one person in this room has exquisite hair. The others, we probably won't talk about
Yeah,
that.
I don't know where in the world Billy got his hair from.
It's
I mean,
my
we've
Native
all-
American blood. I'm telling you.
It didn't. I mean, me and Julian have lost most of it, and Freddie, that's history.
Yeah.
Freddie,
I'm sorry.
look,
You caught me on that.
Freddie,
Yeah.
he accepted it. Like for me,
I'm still trying to embrace it.
It took a while for me to really let go. Like people noticed when I was like 23 or 24, is like, hey, Jules, you're kind of thinning up top. I'm like, no, you're crazy. As I calmed it over and tried to spike it to like it didn't look so bad. And finally, I was like, it hit me one day. I was at church one morning, and they were doing some photos for the social media pages for Eastlake. And I looked on there and I'm like, what is that glare I'm seeing at? And it was pointed out to me that was the back of your head, Jules. So so the barber I went and they were like, hey, would you like your 4 today? And I'm not talking about combo meal. Would you like your number 4? I'm like, let's go to a 2 and see how this works out. So I mean,
I remember the first time I shaved mine.
Did you have to stagger it,
No,
or did you go straight from a 6 to a 1 to bald?
to the 1 to the 0
said go all
or
the
whatever.
way.
Yeah.
Oh.
And the guy that was cutting the hair, he knew his fashion or whatever, and he was like, he started doing a little bit, and I got nervous, and I was like, can I cuss? Or I was like, damn, I feel naked. And then the next thing, he kept doing it, and he finally was like, you've got the head to pull it off. I'm like, okay. Sure enough, later on, man,
I wonder if
I
I
know
got
why.
the head to pull it off. I know.
Well,
I got quite a few dates.
Well, with me, I just wanted to give it one last hurrah, because if anybody remembers me not 19, God Almighty, from like 2007 when I got out of the military until 2009 when my brother got married. Picture behind Bodine right now when I was at Virginia Tech, very bottom row, the hair I had. I cut it for my brother's wedding. I figured I'd give it one last hurrah, and I've been growing it since I started the podcast. So now it's a part of my personality. If it wasn't for the hair, if I just randomly kept my hair short like I always did, I just kind of fit into the crowd. But we go to Callaway, a few months ago for the Smart Mod race. We go down in the pits. Well, Bobby Labonte recognizes the hair. I'm like, hey, Bobby, I got some bootleg for you. I'll try and leave it on your RV steps. He says, oh, yeah, good to see you again. But if I didn't have the hair, so it's kind of, it's hot as shit, and I can't cut it now. I can't get rid of it. Because
but the hair is your trademark. It's
Yeah,
like the Tesla
wanted to
is
say.
Bodine's trademark.
Yeah, somehow.
Even though somehow I got called Bodine multiple
times at Callaway.
At Callaway.
You're welcome.
So what you were saying on it, I was like, I only miss hair in the cold winter months, and I'm like, I've got nothing protecting me, so I get the beanie out or the hat or whatever.
And I
summertime, not at all.
and I mistake you and Curtis all the time at a distance.
Carter, yeah.
At a distance, and I get up on you, it's like, oh, that's Freddie. Oh, that's
Or he's an admin now. He used to be a teacher. I
Yeah.
walked in. We played a joke one time. When he was a teacher, I walked in his classes and just started yelling at all the students. And, he's a laid back guy, and I went in there and I was like, "Yeah, this is get together, do this." And they were like, "Man, Curtis has went crazy." And then they were like, "That's not Curtis."
From a distance, I cannot even tell the difference.
Yeah, I get that often.
Well, I don't know how we got on this. We stirred far away from the last comment I remember. We were getting ready to go down the path of futures and betting and Julian.
And now we're on hair.
Off of it. Yeah, so let's jump back to that and let's talk about some of that, because I know you're curious about that a little bit, Freddie. And Julian is he's a wizard sometimes when it comes to this stuff.
I want to pick your brain on this one, Julian. And I thought I wrote it down, and I didn't, but I think I can guess it. Duke's hired a new football coach, Mike Elko.
Yeah.
He was defensive coordinator at Texas A&M. looking at their schedule, I could bring it
Wow,
up.
so they gave up 72 points a game, I guess. That's-
I mean, that's the running joke of the Big 12. It's like, everybody thinks about the Big 12 being a
well, actually,
basketball school. but
the
football-
Texas A&M was Big 12 now.
I still
SEC,
I
yeah.
still consider them
It's
Big
hard.
12. I can't let that one go.
You shouldn't.
I struggle with that. I mean, I still think Miami's in the Big East sometimes. I mean, that's how I old I am.
I remember Tech was in the Big East and playing Duke,
Yeah.
SEC games. Yeah,
But yeah, Texas A&M, for those of you who don't know, they're in the SEC now. So carry on, Freddie.
and I think it's 3.5 games over or under that Duke football under new coach. You got to understand where we came from the past few seasons. Hey, shout out to Coach David Cutcliffe for bringing Duke from the basement up to where they were.
Oh, they played in the ACC
to where they
title
played
game, didn't they?
Was it Johnny Manziel? Did I say right? Johnny Manziel.
Pretty sure, Johnny
Yeah.
Football. Yeah.
And he brought them to the heights. He put them in bowl games.
yeah, they played
but,
Johnny Manziel. in
Yeah,
bowl
Duke
games.
used to be the laughing stock of the, I mean, it wasn't just a laughing stock run a joke. I'm talking they'll be lucky to win a game.
Hey, it was
game.
before. It was before the. I think it was 2019, before the COVID stuff. We played at Virginia Tech, and my wife and I went up there as fans, and we beat them. I think the worst beatdown for Tech in the last few years. I think it was like 45-10 or something. And I think I'm going to say
It was embarrassing. I remember that.
I'm going to say
It was
2019. It could have been 2018, 2019. And I was like, oh, we are heading to the promised land. After that game, Tech, Bud Foster, the guys, turned it around, and they made a bowl game that season. What did Duke win?
Of course,
They lost about every game.
Of course,
after.
naturally, they beat Virginia to do so because that's what they do every year.
But
was this at the end of the Frank Beamer era, or was this
No,
right
no,
at
this
the
was
start
still-
of the Fuentes?
this
era?
would have been Fuente. This has been 2019 because Beamer's been out. What?
2017, I
So,
think.
yeah. So,
I could just see the meme of Frank Beamer now where they had that 0-0 tie at the end of
Wake
regulation
Forest.
against Wake Forest.
Julian, I was holding up a cell phone in Blacksburg and taking a photo in my Duke shirt and everything. I was like, yeah, we beat them. But with Coach Mike Elko, a new team,
3.5 over and under.
over under 3.5.
Gosh,
I got-
3.5 over under.
I think
mean,
we got Kansas on the
Listen,
schedule.
I got the
basketball school.
schedule up right
Okay,
now.
all right. So you see what we
So
got.
Northwestern,
Is that-
that could go
that's
either
iffy.
way. North Carolina A&T, that should be a W.
If it's not a W, then
You're in trouble. Yeah,
At
you probably
Kansas,
under.
look at Kansas.
That should be a win. If you're gonna
we can't
question
beat Kansas.
Northwestern, you should not question Kansas. Kansas is god awful, but hey, give Kansas credit. The one time they actually did show up as a football team, they beat Tech in the Orange Bowl.
So-
I know this because I traveled all the way down to Miami to watch it happen.
oh, really? Oh,
Oh my, it was a minute.
So the question
the most
is,
beautifully
So-
miserable trip of my life.
Can they win
and I
4
forgot,
games?
They play Temple. They played Temple the first game of the season. Temple was one
Friday
of the
night,
worst,
Labor Day weekend, bring on college football.
worst FBS teams a year ago. So I'll give you
Didn't
a
Temple have a really good coach here recently that got hired on at a big?
Yeah, Temple's
really big
had a few
program.
times where they do pretty well. I know who you're talking about. I'm drawing a blank
I
on
want to say
who that coach
he didn't go to
is.
Penn State, did he? No, it wasn't. Was it Franklin?
Well, James
No,
Franklin
no.
was
from
he coached
Vandy.
at Vanderbilt.
Yeah, so it might have not been Penn State,
And
but it
you
was
talk about a
really-
coaching job. James Franklin took Vanderbilt to nearly an SEC championship one year, which is just that's unheard of.
mind-boggling. But he might have been the guy that went to Baylor. Maybe he started off at Temple, who got I don't know, not Brawls, or maybe who replaced Brawls. I don't know. But Temple was a few years ago, like whoever the
Well,
coach
I
was.
could be wrong, but I think Browse was maybe replaced by Rule, who's with the Panthers now in the NFL.
Yeah, I think Rule came from Temple.
You know what? You may be right there because all this stuff kind of goes together in a way. But I'm going to say they'll beat Temple, so I'll give you that one, Freddie.
All right.
I'll give you the North Carolina A&T, so that's 2. You got Kansas. The fact they're on the road kind of scares me because Kansas pulled off a victory or 2 last year.
Yeah, but they'll be playing in front of 300 or 400 people. They should.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
They
That's
should get that
definitely
W.
true.
Here's the thing: you got to go 3-0 because then you got Virginia, you got Georgia Tech, Carolina. I know the quarterback. He's gone, right? NFL.
Billy, you're right. Matt Rule did come from Temple. So
Okay.
good call. Good call there.
I thought it was somebody that was pretty successful
So
At some point in time.
the ACC's got a lot of different new coaches this year. Virginia's got a new coach coming in.
Tech's got a new coach?
Yeah, Tech's got one. Duke's going to have one. I think Boston College has one. So I mean, there's definitely some turmoil in the ACC. I'm going to say the under, Freddie. I'm going to say under 3.5.
Wow.
Just because of that schedule at the end.
Wake Forest.
Wake Forest is going to be a sleeper team this
I know
year.
Virginia
I'm
Tech,
telling you.
I'll be at that game. Virginia
I'm
Tech
telling you
and
guys
Ole
right
Miss.
now.
Boston College.
Wake Forest can score some points, and they are going to have.
Wake Forest has become a football school.
They really are, and their quarterback's.
I know one.
He's
going
going
to
be.
fan. I hope he's
going to
listening.
be a star. I'm telling you right now. Everybody was talking about Sam Howell at UNC last year, who the Commanders drafted, ironically, but the kid from Wake Forest, the kid from Wake Forest is going to be a stud.
So
That's somebody you're going to have to watch out for.
I will bet the over, and
He just told you to bet the under, and you're going to bet the over.
and the only and why would I bet the over? Because of just passion.
Well, listen. I mean,
The odds better on
listen,
the
Look, you know what? You are what Vegas thrives on. The passion. You are. You bet with your heart and not your mind. You are the reason that people stay in business.
And Julian says that all the time because he will not bet on the Red Sox.
You know my greatest bet.
I absolutely will not, and I definitely will not bet against them. That is 100% accurate. I do not bet on the Red Sox. I do not bet on the Commanders. I won't do it.
You won't do it on okay.
I won't do it. I absolutely will not. I will not parlay it. When I'm in a pick'em league, I know what's going to happen. I'm going to pick the Commanders. Even though they'll probably lose, I'm going to pick them because I cannot sit here unless I know.
Your homerism gets the best of you.
In that case, it does. But even there's been a few times over the last few years where I've definitely picked against them, like the Patriots. The Patriots a few years ago, I'm like, okay, they're a 17.5-point favorite. Yeah, I'm probably picking the Patriots today. I'm not this much of an idiot, Homer, but yeah, I mean, but you got to go with the over because you're with the Duke Report. I mean, how would it look if you said, well, I'm going to take the under this year, folks? I mean,
My best bet, and my sister was in Vegas, and it was in, I will say, summer or fall of 2018. Now she was out there, and I was like, I wish I would have put a few more zeros on this bet. I'd be in a different place. But anyway, I was like, put $10 on Tiger Woods to win the Masters in 2019. I was like, I think the odds were like 14-1 or something like that, 15-1. And,
you better add a zero to that. It was like 150-1. I remember.
Yeah, and Tiger had been through. Well, we all know what Tiger had been through. And then, sure enough, he wins the 2019 Masters, and I was like, and I got the ticket, and I'm like, oh, this is awesome. And I was like, I got to mail the ticket in, and sure enough, I lost that ticket. So I lost like a couple $100 right there. but I was like, I had a photo on my phone. I was like, I got to get this framed.
Well, I've had some beats, but I got to thank your Duke Blue Devils. I took them over Gonzaga, like real early on in the regular season. Like I had Gonzaga and I had the over, and it cashed in on both. So I was pretty happy with that selection.
Quick story on this Gonzaga. I like them. I got respect for Mark Few, but why is Vegas and everybody happy with them when they have yet to finish the deal? Julian?
Well, I have a theory on this.
Because they got a cool name.
Because eventually they're going to
they're cool schools. Cool
eventually-
I have a theory on this.
What happened
And
last year? What happened with Baylor? What?
Look,
I mean,
Gonzaga.
Eventually, you got to show up.
The thing about Gonzaga is, if there's one thing you can sure to bet on in Gonzaga, they'll run through the West Coast Conference and they'll choke in the NCAA tournament.
Mm-hmm.
They always do. They always do. Even when they played Baylor last season in the finals. They should have beat Baylor. I mean, that was their year to finally circle the wagons, and they did with Baylor. I mean, Gonzaga always does. But I have a theory on this. Now that sports gambling is becoming legal in all these different states, you're no longer going to see like the sharp bettors come out. You're going to see a lot of casual bettors that say, oh, Gonzaga, I've heard of them. I'll make a bet on them. Duke, obviously, I know who they are. I'm going to make a bet on them unless you're in the state and you can't bet on them, but that's a whole other story. That's what that's what the bookies and the books, they thrive off of that. And they know that. They know that people are going to bet on Gonzaga. They know people are going to bet on Duke. They know people are going to bet on UCLA. So that's kind of my theory on why Gonzaga is always such a darling when it comes to Vegas.
That makes
and the
sense.
odds.
Yeah, Billy's right. People vote with their passion, basically. Yeah.
They are.
And they're passionate about the underdogs.
They absolutely are. I mean,
Well, you see that opportunity to score a little bit of extra money too if it's an underdog as well. Like, well, daggone it, man, Gonzaga, they're up there every single year. This year they're at plus 1,800 to win it or whatever, or plus 2,000. I'm going to go ahead and throw $100. It just
does. Are more states legalizing it quickly?
yeah. So
Can we
recently, Connecticut joined the list. Among other states, I believe it is about 15 or 16 states.
We need
that
South Carolina and North Carolina to
have
get it on.
authorized the sports book.
Let me give you a story on North Carolina. My buddy is up here from the Outer Banks. He was visiting last week, and I hung out with him. And he was up here on his phone. And he's like, "Hey, I've got to make my bets before I go back home."
Yep.
and that's how it works.
Yep.
I was in South Carolina on vacation in Charleston, and I was looking at my phone. And I was like, "Tap tap tap." I was like, and my phone knows the phone knows it knows the
Literally,
location.
when you cross the North Carolina line, that's it.
Mm-hmm.
It is. Julian did it the other
It
night.
picks your location up.
Absolutely. I've tried that. Every time I see North Carolina state line, I will stop. If you go down, if you go, like most people who listen, I'm sure they've been to Martinsville Speedway. I'm sure they know that exit for Ridgeway. Well, if you make that Ridgeway exit, you go past Clarence's Steakhouse, and then you pass Eaton, North Carolina.
you get to that 220
You get to
little
the-
thing on the right. That
Exactly.
It used to be a strip joint, I believe.
It's been multiple
multiple
establishments.
things, yeah.
It's been a biker bar. It's been a game room. It's been
A strip joint.
the adult establishment you just spoke of. I stopped there.
when it was an adult establishment.
I literally stopped there and could not use DraftKings the way I wanted to use DraftKings.
And you're 100 yards out of the state.
And I'm 100 yards out of the state to try to do it. So
Yep.
Kind of makes you wonder if DraftKings can tell you're 100 yards out of the state and can't make a bet, but they can't pick up these people who are destroying, buildings and stuff in these cities that are burning down. And it kind of makes you wonder where, you know what I mean? Like if you've got that much precision.
Look, I guess a degenerate gambler should run the country because
yeah.
evidently
We can pinpoint your location and figure out if
y'all
you're,
know where we're at.
Yeah,
I mean,
if you're burning down a church, well, hey, guess what? Your phone was tapped there because you couldn't bet. So,
That's some scary stuff there.
I mean,
yeah.
it does make you think. If they can be so precise and
does.
accurate,
that part does make you think. But going back to some of these futures, like college basketball, man, college basketball, once again, that's going to be tough to really get a hold of.
Look, all right, let me ask you this: Who's going? Let's throw that college football. Who's going to win it all next year? If you had to put money on somebody,
Alabama.
and that's
Who's gonna
50-50.
win it
If I
all?
had to
It
put
is
money on it,
50-50.
straight
And
out,
if you
straight
wanted
out the
a little
gate,
bit outside stretch, who would you pick besides Bama?
Oh wow! So if I
Just a little bit out. You don't have to go too far.
I know
out.
everybody's on Alabama and Georgia. Gosh, if I had to pick right now a team who could challenge, y'all gonna laugh at me. Wake Forest.
I'm gonna laugh.
National.
I'm telling
National
you,
champs?
I'm not going to say national champs because I think it's still too early. I mean, even though we're
If you're
almost in
listening,
July.
Brett Holt,
But Wake Forest a year ago played Clemson pretty tight in the first half of that game and then kind of went away. So I mean, I think that's going to be a team to watch out for. But as far as winning the whole shooting match, look, until I see otherwise, Georgia.
It's
Well,
hard
what
to
Julian's
bet.
saying is Wake Forest has good value when it comes to gambling.
Wake Forest has extremely good value right now.
Very little money for a large return.
Yeah.
outside stretch in the next year or two, Southern California, Lincoln Riley, and I think they're making their comeback.
See, I was thinking them too, just because of what Lincoln Riley has done for Oklahoma. Like, it seems like USC stock is going up, but I can see another stock going down, and that's that Oklahoma stock because, remember, they're getting ready to join the SEC. Them and Texas both. So
What happens when you join the SEC?
I mean-
bloodbath.
yeah, I mean that conference is already a bloodbath as it is, and and call me crazy, but I think Tennessee is going to be a team to watch too. I mean they seem to be really rebuilding. It's kind of hard, but I like to look at those values, those money values. If I'm going to make a gamble, like I don't think Clemson's going to be as strong. They've lost many members of their coaching staff over the last couple of years. A lot of their players have left.
How many? I was sitting here watching the TV. This guy's gotten 6 cones out from under this race car. He just keeps finding cones.
So.
I'm sorry, Julian.
A wet dream. Julian is in here making a very passionate argument and debate. And
this guy's throwing cones.
So full disclosure.
Just be used to this.
Full disclosure. I can't see what's going on behind me. I can't because
Bowman Gray highlights.
Okay, Bowman Gray highlights for a race that we were there on Saturday.
No, this one was a different one.
Oh, it's a different. Okay,
this is just YouTube randomly going through the.
So, but yeah, I that's what I think. I mean, it's college sports though. I love those future bets because you never know how they're going to turn out. But my favorite thing to bet on is college basketball. College basketball
next year?
College basketball is so unpredictable. Like if you look at the tournament a year ago and the teams that advanced, I'm telling you right now, I've got 4 teams I'm watching right now. UCLA is one of them. Texas Tech is another one. Arkansas is another one. And number 4, Purdue. Y'all remember this right now. Those 4 teams, they will be competing in deep in March next year.
What about that other team down Tobacco Road? I don't like to mention their name. How do you feel about them? They did return a lot of people.
They're returning 6 starters. I mean, right
6
now.
starters? I thought there was only 5 starters.
Well, 6 returning players, maybe. Is what I'm trying to say.
Well, I'm just trying to get the correct feel.
The fact of the matter is, they on paper should be the team to beat.
Yeah, not just the starters, but
they
role players.
A lot of players off of that team is this team that lost the national championship. So not only did they overachieve last year, but these guys that's coming back, they've got this tournament experience. That could, I know you don't want to hear this, and a lot of Duke fans don't want to hear this. Jamie Wright, you can turn the volume up now. They're going to be a dangerous out just because of who they're returning.
Let me ask this. Duke has the number 1 recruiting class coming in this year, has the number 1 recruiting class coming in next year. John Shire has turned up the heat on recruiting. These are guys John Shire has recruited.
So Shire's the head coach now.
Shire's the head coach.
I hate that.
And I hope I pronounce his name right. If I don't, I apologize. They picked up another guy, Jay Lucas, that was the recruiting guy for University of Kentucky. So who are the 2 schools that have done the best?
He definitely knows how to grease pockets. Yeah. You're in good hands. You're in good hands. He knows.
You got John Shire and, forgive me, Jay Lucas, if I pronounce it right. You've got these 2 guys on the staff, but having Lucas on there will help Shire do more of the head coaching role. And so the recruiting looks good, but as a fan, I think we need the 2, 3, 4 year guys to go along with it.
You're going to have to because
how do you feel with a returning guy like Roach running a team like this? I mean, even with Joey Baker transferring and all that.
I wouldn't want to be in their position just because there's going to be so much scrutiny now that Coach K is gone and you've got John Shire taking over the program. To me,
an immense amount of pressure.
Oh,
immense amount.
I want to know how the ticket sales are going to be.
I mean, hold on. Who replaced Dean? It was Guthridge, Bill Guthridge. Bill Guthrie or whatever. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and and nobody remembers him.
He never had a chance.
Nobody remembers him.
He never had a chance because
he did have one really good year though.
Yeah, they had some.
I think he went to the Final Four one year.
Yeah,
who was the guy right before Roy Williams? Oh my goodness,
it was Guthrie, wasn't it?
There was one more right.
Oh, there was another one.
I've got to look him up because somebody look him up because Roy Williams won. Roy Williams won with his recruiting players. So even though Roy Williams claims that 2005 national title, it was actually I can't think of his name right now, but the guy right before Roy Williams recruited those guys, and Roy comes in and then
Roy comes in and just takes over. Yeah.
Yeah, I got to find this guy.
And, well,
I'm looking it up right now.
while they're looking that up, I mean, another one is when Williams left to go to UNC, here comes this unknown Bill Self that comes in. And, yeah, Bill Self has a championship now. But for the most part, he has had all these legendary teams at Kansas, and he's only got the one title. Like, I really thought he had a great shot last year to really cash in. And, Kansas kind of does Kansas things. They go all the way to – they do have a great regular season. And
Matt Doherty.
Matt Doherty, that's it.
Yeah,
Doherty.
it was
The name
Dean Smith retired 97. Bill Guthridge, not Guthrie, was from 97 to 2000. Matt Doherty, 2000 to 2003.
So to all my UNC
I mean, Guthridge
friends out
was
there.
108 and 80. Matt Doherty was 96 and 53. And I'm trying to think. I don't know what. I don't know if
Boy,
any
you
of these
talk about
awards
Doherty. That's a name I hadn't been mentioned in a long
To all
time.
my UNC friends.
When I think of
Roy
Doherty,
Williams
I
won
think
with
of
Doherty's
Brad Doherty.
players.
I think of Brad Doherty, who played, of course, for the Cleveland Cavaliers in the NBA, also current NASCAR team owner. But I also think of Doug Doherty, who wrote at the Roanoke Times for 30 years, it seems like. Don't know exactly how much, but I read a lot of his columns throughout the years, and I think he just retired recently. From
Brad
sports
Doherty
media.
was Michael Jordan's teammate in the championship year at UNC, wasn't he?
Yeah, but Brad Doherty is
yeah.
black. Matt Doherty's white, if I'm not mistaken. They're not related.
No, they are not. And Brad Doherty is about, I don't know, 2 or 3 foot taller.
Yeah.
If you ever met Brad Doherty, I mean, we've had an opportunity to meet him once or twice, just walking the pits at Martinsville. And
Good dude.
Yeah, great guy.
Oh,
Hey,
I know-
Guthridge was an ACC tournament champion in '98 and made it to 2 Final Fours in his 3 years. He wasn't no slouch.
I don't remember that. I really don't remember that time period.
98 and 2000, it's saying. Naismith College Coach of the Year in '98. He had a much more. It was short, but
I really don't remember all that
that's
success.
impressive. That's
That is
impressive.
impressive.
It
A
is
lot of people
impressive,
can't
yeah.
say that.
So I want to throw this one at you, Julian, because we've talked about racing and NBA, and y'all have all alluded to how meh the NBA is. That's sort of changing the subject, but I'm going to forget about it if I don't. So we look at how the NBA is, and their ratings are terrible, but they still have pretty dang good attendance for the big games, right?
Yeah, it's the same reason that
But-
Barnum and Bailey have good attendance
I know.
when they come to Roanoke.
I'm going to get to my point. And because I find this odd when we look at NASCAR in the same aspect, how they have went through the same thing as the NBA is going through right now. Is it comparable? Or with it? Because NASCAR has finally figured it out with their TV deals.
So we're comparing apples and oranges here.
We may be.
To be honest.
But I'm saying, is it a disconnect?
There is a
Oh,
disconnect.
the NBA's definitely got a disconnect.
There's a disconnect.
Politics has
There's
been a big
major
thing.
disconnect with the NBA because every time you turn an NBA game, it is some type of political movement. And I get it. I'm okay with the players having
Opinions.
an opinion. I'm not saying they shouldn't, but every
I just don't want to see it when I turn on the TV.
I don't want to
If I
see
wanna
it every time I
I'll
turn
see
it on.
Yeah, I'll see it on Twitter if I really care. I'll see it
Yeah.
on Facebook or Instagram if I really care. When I tune it into ESPN, I don't want to see it every time.
We
I'm
touched
looking
on
at
it earlier. The problem with the NBA is these guys I don't associate as gritty players. I don't associate as people like it's almost like back in the Dream Team. They had colorful personalities, but maybe social media has ruined it for people because now they all have an opinion and now you all see it all the time.
Well, I think one thing too that we forget about is the NBA, especially in the late '80s and even up to the late '80s and to the mid '90s, was a very blue collar sport. I mean, you talk about the bad boys in Detroit. You know, you would show up and you'd be a blue collar guy and you'd go in there and say, "Hey, look, if you're going to drive this lane, you're going to get pile drived and you're not going to be able to do it." And like hardcore, hardworking blue collar Americans would show up because even though it was basketball, those guys were tough in the lane and they would foul you, and it was a good replacement for football in the winter. Now it's just like the NFL or college football. The NBA is, you know, it's all razzle dazzle. There's no driving the lane. There's no people pummel. It's just shooting from half court. It's just
Okay, so stop you right there. How is that apples and oranges when we compare it to NASCAR? Now, seriously, think about that. Blue collar, the razzle dazzle.
Because
when we transition in NASCAR, because I've said all along the problem in NASCAR was the fans become disconnected with the drivers.
it's apples and oranges because NASCAR never got the ratings the NBA Finals would get.
It won't. No, agree.
NASCAR,
I don't know.
They got some pretty good ratings, but they never got
not in the same time period.
They never
because
got,
when NASCAR's heyday was Jordan's heyday as well, and it's tough to
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Us race fans remember the Hooters 500 in 1992 as perhaps being the greatest NASCAR race ever run in the modern era.
Yep.
But I don't think that race got 25 million viewers to watch. And you pull out the book right there. I have that same book.
By Rick Houston. Signed by Rick Houston, by the way. That was
Signed right there.
And I'm a little jealous about that, but
But you know,
you were supposed to be here, Julian.
I get it.
But do you get where I was kind of going with the theory
that
that
I get exactly your point.
But I'm saying what
my counter argument is the NBA is a worldwide brand. Everybody knows the NBA. Where NASCAR,
huge in China, huge in Europe,
huge in
Australia.
Don't get me started on China. I mean,
we won't even go there. They don't deserve
the fact
our
of the
time.
matter is this: NASCAR was known in the South and in the Mid-Atlantic regions. What drew away their fan base was the fact that they were getting away from the Southern aspect of the sport. But not just that. The convoluted rule changes.
every year.
Every year. It's like, okay, I get it. And I get why they made the rule changes. Because you want to make it competitive. You want to... They're in the entertainment business. Okay? That's what people don't realize. Sports is entertainment. Okay? It's also a competition. But what NASCAR did, and which they are doing their best to fix this problem, is you take the Southern 500 away from Darlington. Horrible move. Okay?
You identified with that.
People identify with that, Jeff. And the fact of the matter is, it took a while for them to come back from that. What's going on in the NBA right now is you have the Steph Curry effect. Okay? It used to be like Mike, Air Jordan. Every time you make a shot, it'd be like, Kobe.
Yeah.
I've done it. But now you've got all these kids, all these AAU kids. They just want to step back from 40 foot away and like,
I think it's
Chef
automatically
Curry.
going to go in.
Chef Curry. So I think that's been a problem. I think that's a problem because now you got all these kids, all they want to do is shoot the ball. And it is hurt. It's hurt the college game.
No defense.
A lot.
No defense.
Yeah, there's no defense whatsoever. It's just everybody shooting 30.
Well, same problem in the NFL too. I mean, it's just so much scoring, and I get their marketing strategy: more scoring, more home runs, more half court shots, all these things. They make better highlights. They make better social media reels that last from from 10 to 15 seconds because that's the attention span that most of the kids these days have.
What's old saying? Chicks dig the long ball.
Yeah.
Okay, so, and Jeff, you and I have talked about this. You have we're getting off subject a little bit, but you have a fascination with baseball and the steroid era, which the home run hitters. I personally enjoy today's era where there's more superstars in baseball right now that nobody has ever heard of because they're not getting marketed. But number one, they're not going up and hitting a home run every 5 times either. So the people that's hitting home runs right now are also batting 215, 220. I mean, their batting average are atrocious right now.
Yeah, 50 home runs and you bat 215 like Chris Davis in Baltimore years ago,
Well, Chris Davis had a little help along the way. We come to find out. I mean,
but he's just another example in a long list of people that.
But yeah,
I mean, Mike Trout might be the greatest baseball player to ever lace up, and half the country doesn't even know who he is.
They don't know who he is because
Ohtani. Ohtani is he's a freak of nature. The man goes out one day and hits 4 for 5 with 2 home runs and 4 RBIs. The next day goes out and pitches 7 innings with no hit, no runs and 2 hits.
Ohtani.
That man, he is the modern day Babe Ruth. and 90% of the country doesn't.
But you
know
know
his
why
name.
they don't know who
does
they
not know
are?
his name.
They don't know who they are because they are getting marketed. There's Mike Trout is in a bunch of commercials.
Regionally.
Ohtani gets talked about a lot, but baseball is a regional sport. It is a regional sport. I will agree with that. It's not as nationwide as it once was. And I kind of have to accept that. But the other thing is about the Angels. The Angels have barely made any playoff appearances since Mike Trout got called up. So you're not going to see the Angels play on national TV, on TBS or Big Boy Fox or anything like that because they're not in the postseason. And that is a shame. That is a shame. Your two biggest superstars in the game.
Well, they've been expanding their postseason participants too,
Yeah. And they still can't make the
hopes of
playoffs.
making things like that happen.
I mean, that's why poor Joe Madden gets fired. Joe Madden is a very capable big league manager, but you cannot lose 14, 15 games in a row when you have Mike Trout and Shohei Ohtani on your roster.
So is that the same thing though that's hurting the NBA? Are these players, the people that are attending the games, are they regional and they're mostly locals versus NASCAR? Well, we're going to drive across country maybe to see a race or out of town. I mean, I'm saying
That is diving into apples and oranges right there.
I think it is, but I think it. I was thinking in my head, is it a fair comparison? Has basketball or NBA has it lost its identity as NASCAR did?
I think at some point in time when you jump back down into the 60s and 70s, every single sport in this country was a blue collar sport, no matter what. Like hockey,
Yeah, we
very
can't get that
blue-collar.
back.
NASCAR, very blue collar.
You're not
NBA,
going to get
NFL,
that back.
but it's not like that anymore because they've all went out in different directions with the different money they've received. The
world has changed in so
Yeah.
many ways.
Well, I
And-
think NBA will have the fans because they're located in the major market cities.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, and
Will they get those? They get those.
How many people can get if they're having a few refreshments? How many people can get an Uber to back and forth and it still be affordable? Whereas
So
You bring
Where are
up
we
a
going,
point.
Charlotte?
It's not cost
So
effective.
are the ratings bad because how poorly the NBA's marketed?
No, the
now?
ratings are bad in the NBA is because Americans who spend money
Can't
on
relate
NBA
on.
or any other product are sick and tired of the political nonsense being thrown out there. They don't want to sit here and be preached to day in and day out. That's why the NBA, because the NBA is the most preachiest league of them all, and people are tired of it. People are tired of spending their
Yeah,
money to
but
be
it's-
preached to every night by people that hate them.
Does
That's
that go
as simple
hand
as
in
it is.
hand with being able to relate to the players? Can you not relate to the players because of that? That's where I'm thinking we're on the same page.
Can you relate to any of these players?
No.
In any
No.
sport?
And you can't relate to NASCAR drivers either. Not like you used to.
Not like we
you could
used
relate
to.
to Dale Earnhardt. Satch Worley could relate to Dale Earnhardt because both, at the end of the day, when they got done racing on Monday and Tuesday and Wednesday, they were out there grading, farming, doing things like that. NASCAR drivers today, after Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, they're flying around the country making appearances or, maybe racing a race here or there because they got the means to do it. Yeah. Earnhardt, it was survival back then. It's not survival
It's
anymore
not.
because of the money.
Well,
so
I think this would be a very interesting topic for another podcast just because we could really fill some time with that for sure. But
Well, my point
know,
was is the TVA and in the NBA itself adjusting the marketing, saying, look, let's stop this, let's just play basketball. NASCAR's got back to let's just race, and NASCAR's got the most brilliant TV deal that's ever been created, and they're renegotiating.
and their
right?
ratings are up. mind you.
And consistent.
They've been up for
That's the
last
biggest
couple
thing.
of
They're
years.
and hey,
consistent.
about I'll say 70% of the races I've watched this year, the house has been packed as well. I mean, I'll give it to them. I'm not a huge fan of how they've operated over the last few years, and it'll take a while. But hey, credit where credit is due.
Did
This season,
COVID help NASCAR?
yes, COVID helped everything.
absolutely helped
COVID
NASCAR.
helped everything
Because
people
people
yearned. They wanted to get out.
They flipped it.
COVID
reinvigorated
absolutely helped
themselves.
NASCAR, and here's why. COVID was the first. NASCAR was the first professional sport that was back.
Yep.
If you look at it, the NBA, they didn't return till about
And that
late
silly
summer.
bubble.
And that, oh my God, that was horrible. And
That was
that's when
miserable.
LeBron won his
Orlando
last
bubble.
title.
Did he really? With
Yes, the Lakers
With the
won.
Lakers.
Oh, did they really?
Yeah.
I don't-
Nobody
I didn't
knows
even-
that,
nope.
do
Yeah,
they?
there's some meme out there. They're like,
But-
this one doesn't count.
But NASCAR was the first one back.
It doesn't. It shouldn't count.
It shouldn't, but COVID, and again, this could be a whole nother conversation, but COVID, it really brought out the passion in me, and that's why I've been traveling a lot lately to go see these races.
And it has a lot of people.
I missed it so much.
Well, and with NASCAR, the crowd effect isn't quite the same. I mean, you can go in there, but you're in a car that's loud. You can't hear things going on. In basketball, look, I'm sorry, but if you're in a freaking bubble, then whoever the better team is deserves home court advantage. That makes a huge difference. Like those fans, that energy. Hey, that's why Duke is so good every single year. If Virginia Tech could fill Castle for University of Maryland, Baltimore County, then like Duke does, then they would be able to. You get those 14 or 15. You're 14 or 15-1 every single year because most of your home games, whether you don't give that lesser team an advantage because that crowd is right on you. You don't lose to University of Maryland, Baltimore County if you're if you're Duke and you have that advantage. You don't do that at Castle Coliseum. You only lose to University of Maryland, Baltimore County if you're the number 1 seed.
Hey, do we
and
really
you're playing,
need to bring this up right now?
And if you're
that's
the number
a
1
hurtful thing to bring up right now.
If you're the number 1 seed and you're playing in a neutral location and you become the first ever tournament team as a number 1 seed to lose to a 16 seed, that's the kind of things that happen when you don't have a home court
As
advantage.
a shout out to Virginia Tech, and this is to all.
Let's go back to University of Maryland, Baltimore County for a second.
Yeah. I was watching that game, and
Because
I have a famous March Madness party.
There have been tons of national champions, and UVA, rightfully so, is one of those in college basketball. There have been tons. And a lot of people remember some of them. A lot of people don't remember the other ones, but nobody will ever forget.
Julian, were you at my March Madness party? For
Nobody will
I was
ever
at your
forget.
March Madness party.
when UMB? Were you
Yeah.
Nobody will ever forget.
Because I was trying to remember.
Freddie, I've been
UVA.
listen, I've been at 10 of your March Madness parties, okay? Freddie's
I've
March
been to
Madness
0,
parties.
by the way. Just
Hey, you are invited.
Freddie's
Actually,
are
hey.
awesome, by the way, because, I mean, your setup the first few years of that March Madness party.
When I lived in an apartment on State Street, and people don't realize. I wrote an article for Duke Report, and I've got it on my blog as well. People don't realize a lot of the household items that you have, you can rival a Buffalo Wild Wings. I had a 48-inch TV at the time, a 32-inch in the bedroom. I put them in the living room. Help me out, iPod. At the time, it was iPod. Did I say it right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
so,
iPod. I put it in the bathroom. So
I was gonna
UNC
say,
games are
because-
only shown in the bathroom on the iPod.
Well, you would need the coverage in the iPod just because
So I
all
think-
that good food. I mean, you sit there and eat all for 8, 10, 12 hours a day because we really
And I didn't
literally
cook
did.
it. You know, I shout out to all the people to help.
Shout out to Frank's Pizza.
Shout out Frank's Pizza, Buffalo Wild Wings, my mom with the buffalo chicken dip.
Oh,
and
absolutely.
all
The cake. Don't forget
the cake.
they
Yeah,
made
the
that
cake.
year,
Yeah,
too.
the cake. Brenda with the cake.
Oh, absolutely.
But
Shout
basically,
out.
you could set up a March Madness party in your house with 3 or 4 electronic items, and then bam, you go at it. But back to the UMBC.
yes, University of
Were-
Maryland, Baltimore
did-
County.
How
Yeah.
many
Those
national-
yellow uniforms.
Okay, so how many national championships
Bass
has Virginia
fishing.
Tech won?
Bass fishing.
Yes, bass
More,
fishing.
that does not count.
It counts.
It
That's
counts.
a national
That is-
title.
I
It
have to
counts.
say,
That is a
as,
club
as,
sport.
as a guy that
That
has
is a
given my
club
tech.
sport.
Haven't we won a couple in track and field and maybe a wrestling individual national
As a guy
title?
that gives
Look,
my because this is against Billy, you can stop me, but I think back in Beamer's days they had an empty trophy case in his office or whatever, and it said reserved for the national championship. And I'd give my tech friends a hard
For
time.
the love of God,
And, hey,
that's
Duke
like hanging
football
up
can't even
a
talk.
NIT banner, for God's
Yeah,
sake.
and Duke football can't talk. So if we're going sport for sport, I can't talk. But I'd be like, when are y'all gonna put something in it? And then one of my buddies that went to Tech was like, hey, we got that bass fish.
Yeah.
I was like, hey, you take
Well-
what you can get, man.
And we have an ACC.
Yeah,
college
and now we
basketball
got
tournament.
we got a
as I
sport
speak,
in
y'all beat us in basketball.
now in bass fishing. We got an actual sport that can provide livelihood for a family. That's a sport.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly.
We're fishing. We're
Exactly.
getting
I mean,
food.
what is
When
told
push
football?
comes to
Yeah,
pull,
when push comes to
which one's
shove.
gonna feed you?
Exactly, exactly. Come on,
Speaking
man.
of fishing, I noticed these stickers you got on the table, Freddie. Looks like you got a new venture.
Yeah, so I am with Duke Report, and when I'm working games, I represent Duke Report, DukeReport.com, on Twitter, at Duke Report, to get your up-to-date information on basketball and football. But I started a side project, a side blog, and it's called Blue Devils Blog. And if you're looking for it on the web, bluedevilsblog.com. If you're looking for my input on Twitter, at Skelo22, and that's SKEELOW 22. And basically, I'm trying to bring a different fan perspective to the sports. And so basically, if you scroll down, I'll report information from Duke basketball, Duke football, official releases. But I try to bring, I'm a fan first, a media guy second. I've always said that. So I'm trying to bring the fan experience with me, which I am on Press Row. And so one of the last videos I've done, if you scroll down on the website, is an inside look at working a Duke basketball game. And basically, I put it up on my Instagram. It's basically an Instagram story or whatever they call that stuff where you post. And I put it all together and created a YouTube video from start to finish outside Cameron Indoor Stadium showing the Cameron Crazies celebrate. And then hanging out, maybe having some refreshments, whatever they do. And then going in, and it's a mix of videos and pictures of the game. It's me on Press Row. I'm using what is this, iPhone 12? What's the 13's? Yeah, iPhone 12. And I'm taking screenshots of, my phone is shaking because the fans behind me are jumping up and down of the tip-off of the basketball game. And I conclude it with the post-game press conference with Coach K. And so I'm like, well, let me put this together as a 5-6 minute video. And I'm trying to, I've got some interviews lined up here with some Duke football fans that actually have their own podcast, if I can give a shout out.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, Section 17 podcast. If you're a Duke football guy, or if you're just a college football guy in general, or girl, college football fan, check out Section 17 podcast.
For any of you 17 Duke football fans out there.
But hey, we're increasing.
Hey, no, seriously, give them a check out, because this podcast and stuff isn't easy. Anybody out there putting themselves out there and doing something they passionately love, give an opportunity to listen to it, because you never know what you're going to find.
And I got to give him a shout out. Coach Elko is on. Mike Elko, our head coach now is on board with these guys. And what he's doing that was different from the previous administration with Duke football is Coach Elko is bringing in the social media atmosphere, and he's welcoming fans and all that.
Well, as good as Cutcliffe was, he was just cut from a different cloth, I mean,
yeah, and you got to do that with this new age, because
these days you have
what
to.
do people do about every day? They look at their cell phones. And so these coaches that are coming in now are realizing, hey, I've got fan bases out here creating podcasts. Let's bring them in and let's build a bigger community. And for a team like Duke football that, hey, honestly, if we get to a bowl game in the next 2 or 3 years, I will be excited. Of course, you want the national the playoff and all that stuff, but our bowl games. But hey, these guys are welcoming fans into the aspect of building the atmosphere for a college experience.
Yeah,
So
that's awesome, Freddie. I mean, I really admire what you have done. I mean, you've chased your dream. I mean, you take your passion, Duke basketball, Duke football, and you went and ran with it. I mean, I think that's really awesome. I mean, I'm not just saying this as your friend. I'm saying this as just, as a fellow human being. It's awesome that you go out and chase that dream. I mean, that I can't tell you that, it's like, I'm like, hey, look at my buddy. This is what he does with Duke. I mean, that's.
And I will break this down. Anybody, if you put yourself out there, like you guys with the podcast, the success y'all have had with this podcast, if you put yourself out there, you might fail, you might not. You just pick yourself up and go again. Julian, honestly, from a viewpoint, you to me, you would walk circles around me easily, stats for stats on doing basketball or anything. When I listen to y'all's racing podcast and I look at your input on football, basketball, racing, you've got it, man.
I've got
a guy like me.
I got no life. That's why
I've got I've proposed an interesting part-time job to Julian.
Yeah,
and I don't know if he's actually looked into it yet, but and Julian's always had a passion for announcing and stuff, and which obviously
he's made
for it.
Yeah, made for
so it. I told him, I said, we have held several conversations about what he'd like to do, and I told him iRacing has then got so big that they're using broadcasters to run the race. There's literally broadcast streams just like you were like a real race. There's announcers, there's a play-by-play announcer, there's a lead announcer, and there's a guy running the cameras that's flipping back and forth. And a lot of and what they are just pop-ups. They're groups that look for people that can run the play-by-play and stuff. And I've told Julian, I said that would be a perfect way to get back and get into that stuff, and it would give him real opportunity because there's so many of them. It's a saturated market of availability, and basically we would start our own broadcast. Or I mean, he'd go with another company, but we could start our own broadcast, and we'd say, hey, we're going to charge $50 to do y'all's broadcast tonight. And we'd have the monitor set up, however you do it, and then they do it, and you call a literal play-by-play on a freaking simulation. Mm-hmm. And I told Julian, I said, that's a way to go. You need to start researching it. So,
well, I mean, I believe it 100%, and
told him all along. He's got the voice for it.
Well, and I would personally like to think myself that I have a pretty good eye for talent. I have a pretty good eye for good opinions, good people, good conversation. I mean, I wouldn't have been able to make it to this point if we hadn't. And when you talk about the success of this podcast, if this was the last show we ever did, I'll be able to look back and say,
had a lot of fun.
I mean, Julian, for the love of God, we got to sit in turn 2 at Callaway Speedway and sit down with Steve Post and Matthew Dillner, 2 of the most incredible minds in the racing world, and have a conversation and call a stock 4 race. Me and Bodine have got to sit across from Bobby Labonte, a NASCAR champion and Hall of Famer, some fantastic musical guests, some of the most talented musicians on the planet. If we and I'm $1,000 in debt off of this thing, like I have made, no money off of this at all. But we have had some experiences that can never be rivaled.
Experience that money can't
let me
buy.
add
Exactly.
That, with the new website, I'm a few $100s in debt, but I'm like, I've gotten into games that. This I don't quote me on this, but the season ticket holders for Cameron Indoor Stadium, I think you got to give a minimum donation of $7,000 to $8,000, and that's a donation, and then you got to pay. What are we looking at? $150, $160 per ticket.
Yeah.
18ish. Don't quote me.
You probably even if you went. If you went to all the really good games and then sold off the rest of your tickets, you might be able to break even. Depending,
if you sold to Duke, Carolina, to Duke
simply
UVA
because,
ticket,
well, even if you went Duke and Carolina, you can get $300 back for the St. Mary's game too. Honestly, but
so what you guys are doing for the experience, and what I'm doing is, the games I make, I don't have, and Crazy Towel guy, give a shout out to him, biggest Duke fan ever. If you've been to the Duke games, he's the guy that stands up and swings the towel. I sat with him one game. A friend hooked me up, and he was pointing out all these donors and things. As a guy back in 2008, before I ever did this stuff, and he's like, "You see those seats right there?" And I'm like, "Yeah." This is 2008, remind you. He's like, "That's a $60,000 donation at minimum." And where are we at now?
Money.
Where are we at? 22. That's inflation. 2008. What are they paying now? And I'm like, I'm sitting press row, and this last season, at least 3 or 4 of the games, I'm center court. The Cameron Crazies are behind me. As a young guy, I've got this down to a T. I get to the game, I drink a Mountain Dew on the way down. Caffeine. I go
Plug for Mountain Dew.
Shout
out.
We could use a sponsor there, Mountain Dew, just in case.
Hey, you guys do it. I use the bathroom a couple times before I go to press row. Why is it? Because I don't bring a water. They feed me pizza. I get the pizza. I keep it for the road home. Cold pizza's the best, by the way.
I love cold pizza.
Cold pizza's
tremendous.
And why do I not eat or drink on press row? It's because I'm sitting there center court with the Cameron Crazies up in my back like this.
You can't move.
I can't
Literally,
move for 2 hours. And I can get out and try to jump over it and go to the bathroom and wait in line. But I'm like, no, I'm going to take this all in. So I basically dehydrate myself with a soda for caffeine, and then I dehydrate myself. And then
he pulls off the wrestling moves.
Yeah. Here you go. And then I sit in Coach K's press conference, and then after the game, I grab a couple sodas because, they're in the fridge and they're free. And a cold pizza and a few waters, and I hydrate on the way home. But I'm like, where else am I going to get this experience? for free.
You're not going to get that experience.
no,
running
that's
a
a sacrifice
Twitter
I would make.
account on an iPhone, and honestly, my expertise is not even close to what somebody like Julian could do. With
And that's
sports.
Bill. That's what Billy was getting at. Julian, you got the talent in there. That's in you, and you're going to get some no's, but you're going to eventually find a yes. And I really do think that that might be an avenue to explore.
Well, speaking of the talent, Julian, talk about your recent blog that you started.
Yeah. So I gotta restart though, because when
I've read some of them and they're fascinating.
When we did the first podcast at Callaway, that reignited a passion inside of me.
I could tell. I could tell.
I didn't think it was dead, but I'd kind of given up on it. I'd kind of given up on my dreams. I've done PA work for Franklin County High School. I was the voice for ACW Wrestling for a few years.
Which is a podcast coming up, by the way, right?
Yeah.
Jamie Wright?
Yeah, we got Jamie Wright.
Speaking of ACW,
Jeff Holland, they're coming.
Yeah, I mean, that's an exciting episode because you know Jamie very well, too.
I may
JB.
come hang out with y'all that episode.
Yeah, that'll be
Can I
fun,
come sit
man.
on the sideline?
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, I
come
want
in
to.
here and
I
hang
want to.
out. We don't mind.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
So I got multi-talent. I mean, I could do a little basketball. I could do some wrestling. I could do some racing. I mean, I'm not just a one-trick pony. But no, that reignited something in me. I really appreciate you guys letting me do that. And we've talked about doing stuff before. And for whatever, I won't go into why. But those...
we'll get that one again. We have to have that one again. We have to...
Yeah,
We have to sit in here with Rick Houston again.
If I got to call Rick Houston, I'll keep bugging him enough on social media. He will.
By the way, big
answer.
shout out to Rick because he just broke a few weeks ago one of the biggest stories in NASCAR history, and we didn't really
Which
get
I'm
to talk
still bitter
on that
about.
podcast as much as we should have. But
Yeah,
he did. He broke one of the biggest NASCAR
that was
stories.
something. Maybe we'd have to dive into that one at another time. But that show we did. It just like, what can I do? I mean, I'm sitting here, I'll be 37 next month. I want to do something with a talent, and I struggle with thinking to myself that I am good at stuff. I don't take compliments very well. I'm weird about it. I'm just like,
I don't.
okay,
I don't
yay,
either.
thanks. Like, what do you
Well,
like? How do I respond to that?
that's because of confidence. You want to you got to take the inner confidence and do it. And it's easy for work because you build your own confidence at work. Your employers are constantly doing it, and you can see your success. The lack of confidence is because you've got a goal out there that you just can't grab a hold of and see right away.
I can see it. Like
You can't just reach out there and get it just yet. You gotta figure it out.
I've dreamed about covering motorsports or sports or doing PA work, being on the beat, something like that. I mean, I've literally dreamed it. I've done it in my dreams. And so the podcast was great. I mean, I was just really humbled that y'all would even want me to take a microphone. And
Been saying it for a year now.
And then the people that we talked to was like, what is going on? I mean, I'm a schmuck. I shouldn't even be doing this. But
Hey, I asked Billy to come. Could you come on the podcast with me because I knew we'd feed off each other.
And
well, Freddie, I mean, I've known you for over 20 years.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I've known Freddie longer than I've known Jeff, and I've known Jeff for a long time. And Billy, I've got the pleasure of getting to know real good the last couple of years. But yeah, Freddie and I, we went to Duke games. We've been to Salem Red Sox games and hockey games. We've hung out. Yeah, we've had a good time. But anyway, long-winded, shocker. But so I've got a blog. I really appreciate if you give it a check out. It is the Racing Renaissance blog, and it is available on Blogspot or blogspot.com.
Give us that full.
And so I'll give you the full where you can find this at. So it is the racingrenaissance.blogspot.com. My whole purpose for this was...
You rednecks out there that can't spell Renaissance, just speak into your Google phone or your Apple phone. Just say Renaissance. It will It will spell it out for you. Google Dictionary, whatever you got to do. Let's just speak to the crowd. Let's just speak to the crowd.
I thought about this. It's like, wow, you're really going to put a tough word out there for rednecks to have to read. Way to go,
What the
Jules.
hell does Renaissance mean? I mean, what's
I had to explain it in
Hillary
the first...
supporting asshole gonna talk about Renaissances? Not in my backyard.
No. That's a big Dale no right there. But,
Praise hell, praise Dale.
That's right.
Amen. Yeah.
I literally shooting the bull on Twitter one night. I thought, man, we're in a renaissance right now.
Yeah, it is.
For motorsports. I mean, because...
I think you said that on the podcast.
I did.
You said that in front of Dillner and them. You said we are in a racing renaissance.
Yeah, and Dillner was like, hey, this is kind of cool. And those people have actually retweeted some stuff I've done, and that's really flattering. But the whole purpose of the blog is to educate people more about local short track racing. And also, we'll do NASCAR. We'll do all kinds of stuff about motorsports. I really want people to know that we are in a comeback period. One of the blogs I wrote was about North Wilkesboro Speedway. North Wilkesboro Speedway was dead. A year ago.
Dead.
I'm talking dead. I'm talking not coming back. Well, next in August, they're going to hold several events at North Wilkesboro on the asphalt. Then in October, they're going to rip it up and they're going to run some dirt track races. And then during this off season, they're going to repave the racetrack. And people have clamored for it for a long time, just like they are with the Nashville Fairgrounds. And my whole purpose of this is just to engage and maybe drop some knowledge on people that may not know what the past is all about, but just share a passion of mine that I just hope people will enjoy and kind of look at, because I'm not posting hot takes.
Yeah.
I'm not posting political stuff. I'm not doing any of that. I want people to have a release from their day-to-day grind that they have. And I've done 3 blog posts so far. My real job's kind of gotten in the way of the last week or so, but hopefully later on this week.
And I made some topics for you.
Yeah, we got some great topics, and I don't want to ruin it. I don't want to ruin it by putting those out there right now.
And mine are just theories. I come up with these things, and it don't mean I have an opinion either way. It's just like, man, I throw some counters up when people have theories, and I just ponder these things. And a couple weeks ago, one of them we talked about was who was better, Elvis or Tom Hanks. Because they were in a movie.
I was listening to that one. I loved it.
And it really didn't. I didn't really have an opinion. It was just like, it's food for thought. Let's just throw it out there because I kind of think about it.
It's a good discussion, when you put it in the context of time and the amount of money they made and the amount of I mean it was just because Tom Hanks was in the movie. It's a fun debate, and and with you, Julian, when you talk about that moment in Callaway being inspired to do something different, inspired to be able to go and chase something out. Look. You're 3 in, and it takes a lot of time. And I never in a million years would have imagined that we would be to the point we are right now on this show and have some of the guests we've had lined up and some of the people we have, potentially lined up. I don't even want to talk about because I don't want to jinx it. Not only the people we've had previously, but I mean, in the last month, Jeff has went down to Carolina and spoke with the rightful heir to the throne. If you want to get down to technicality,
yeah, he never returned.
If you want to, we'll get it back. We'll figure it out.
I'll give you all his number. Y'all
we'll figure it out. But
you probably do put 2 and 2 together. But there's also some other irons in the fire because we went and did the Cars tour, and that opened up a few doors. I mean, people want to share their story.
Exactly. And when we talk about that, I want to talk about that Smart Mod race that we spoke at in Callaway, and that would be the first show that Julian jumped on us with. And we talk about leaving with inspiration. I left out of that race with a lot of inspiration. And about 2 or 3 weeks later, I mentioned to every single one of you all in this group that we should start podcast, a break-off podcast from the Appalachian. We haven't talked about it much on here, but the D's Lug Nuts podcast, I think we got a lot of potential right there. Just a once-a-week racing podcast where maybe 35 to 40 minutes, Julian, myself, Bodine, maybe Dean from time to time will come in. We'll talk about racing for the week, racing for the weekend. We'll touch on Bowman Gray. We'll touch on Franklin County, maybe the Cars Tour, the Smart Mod Tour, some of this local stuff. We'll talk a little bit about NASCAR. And then every week, we've got a lot of connections in the NASCAR world and in the racing world. To bring in each and every week just to talk and kind of give their perspective. And so, Julian, yes, you inspired me that day. So, whatever you're doing with your blog, I fully support. And I think between that and what we have for the Appalachian podcast, we focus in on the D's Lug Nuts, D's Lug Nuts, DEEZ Lug NUTZ podcast. We're on Facebook and Instagram, Facebook and Twitter. We haven't really started the following yet because we haven't really put it out there. We're trying to figure out a good time to start. I think here in the next few weeks is a good time to start.
Oh yeah,
because we can do it on Zoom.
Season.
We can do it on Zoom. It's 4th of July, so what you did inspired me that time too. So I understand exactly what you're talking about, and I think we've got a ton of potential.
Look, we're just some lugs that's nuts about racing.
Yep.
I mean, that's we really
and,
are.
And I'm not even that huge on it. Like I enjoyed turning it in on Saturday. I'm not nearly as passionate as Julian and Jeff and some of these guys are, but I can appreciate their passion, and I have the opportunity to facilitate it right here in the studio. And I understand their opinions and their knowledge is second to none in this region. Like between Jeff and Julian, between Jeff's technical perspective of being on a pit crew in NASCAR and Julian's fan perspective and his historical knowledge and just my casual fan, we all bring a different perspective to it. We got a lot of potential, and I'm excited about it.
As an outsider, man, listening to y'all's podcast talking about racing, and granted, I don't know racing as well. Julian, I got to make a race with you guys, man.
It's going to happen, Freddie. You've got no choice at this point.
Just a heads up, Bowman Gray ends midway through August.
Well, if it isn't Bowman Gray, maybe maybe the Martinsville 300 for a start, and then of course the NASCAR race as well.
I think it's best to plant the seed at Bowman Gray, and then the rest of them can spiral off of it.
Yeah, for sure.
Let's make it happen.
I mean,
because he's got appreciation.
Any of them though,
He's got to have the appreciation for racing. He's got to. Learned in he knows wrestling and stuff, and that kind of entertainment factor. This is where you want to go.
I think I would really enjoy it, man.
I know you would.
Yeah, Freddie absolutely would enjoy it. I mean, we just got to get him there. So
we got to go down there, and we'll try to work it out where we can go down in the pits after the race is over too.
Yes, I mean you got to have that experience, and again, that's one of the experiences we've been really blessed to be able to do. The Cars Tour, a big shout out to the Cars Tour. They gave us a ton of access. Franklin County Speedway, of course, they gave us a ton of access. And, y'all know this. I've been on the Cars Tour thing for the last several years. Like, I've been talking about the Cars Tour for years. And, for the access they're giving us is tremendous. I mean,
and the Smart Mods as well.
Yeah,
Chris
and the Smart Mods.
I mean, we are super fortunate to have that access. I mean, the ability.
Most definitely.
It's
shout out this week. Modified's running it at
Caraway
running this week. Caraway, a midweek show. Shame I can't make that. I'd love to go to that, but I just can't make that happen. No, the Cars Tour will be at Hickory at the end of July. That's on my calendar, folks. I mean, the pro late models and the late model series are going to run the throwback 276 at Hickory. I mean,
I'd like to make that. I think I'm going to have to skip that one so I can potentially make the return to North Wilkesboro, which is also a whole nother podcast in itself.
Yeah.
And I think a good topic for one of our D's Lug Nuts podcasts, to be honest with you.
Yeah, Wilkesboro, they're running a couple weeks after Hickory. So, I kind of got my summer plan.
Let's find us a Saturday. And Freddie, are you available on Saturday nights?
I am available on Saturday nights.
Okay.
Make sure it's one I can make.
Not too bad.
We'll make it.
Well, we kind of just threw together this one with Wednesday. We talked about it.
For this upcoming week, though, for a Sunday, for any of y'all that are available, this coming Sunday evening, up on the mountain is going to be the place to be.
Yeah.
Callaway, Virginia. You're going to have the best fiddle player on the planet playing music, Billy Hurt. You're going to have Cheryl Witcher and her
She
food
gonna be baking
truck.
potatoes?
Yes, her food truck, which is Ella's Eats, is going to be up there on the mountain. And you're going to have the best 4th of July party that you could possibly find with Isaiah Rickman providing all the pyrotechnics and the fireworks show. So it's a private party.
Is he gonna fly a plane over and throw fireworks out?
No. He could, but he's not going to. He's not going to. So everybody in this room, of course, anybody else out there that may be interested, contact me and I'll give you the information. It is a private party, but it is a fantastic one. And I've reached out to a lot of the podcast guests, bring them up there because, of course, the host is one of our biggest contributors, and he's essentially become like Julian, a co-host, a fixture co-host that comes on for certain episodes. Simon, so that's gonna be a hell of a time. Anybody in this room, if you want to come up there on Sunday, I'm telling you, come up there. It'll be worth your time. Bring your family. It's family friendly. The D's Lug Nuts podcast, we touched on that. I know we got to get out of here. We've been going way too
I'm
long.
about to fall
This
asleep.
conversation has been fabulous. It's been a fun time. I enjoy these sports talking podcasts. I enjoy listening about Coach K's final year, how historic it was, and to be able to be there and be a part of it. I can't imagine. I mean, it's and I'm not even a Duke fan, but I can appreciate all the nostalgia that is tied to that.
It was an awesome experience, and even Julian and I were talking at the Salem Red Sox game. I said I made 15 games last year, and I was like, "What's the over/under on games this coming year with Shire?" And
I think we set it at 10.5.
We set it at 10.5, and you took the under because I told him I was like, "Man, that was a lot of traveling. I may not."
Yeah, it was just the traveling, but I think I might lose that because I could see with this blog and this passion, I think I may lose that, but that's fine. If I
will
do.
say
That's
the
fine.
ACC tournament is in Greensboro next year. The NCAA tournament first round, if you're one of the top 2 ACC teams, is also in Greensboro.
But we didn't count
next year.
those.
We did not count those.
We did not count those or count down the crazy.
And there's a previous podcast guest right there on TV
Who's that?
in the white official. That's JB right
Oh,
there.
JB Cole. Yeah, well, I mean, watching Bowman Gray, we've seen a ton of them. So
Oh, Randy's wearing a different coat than he was earlier.
yeah,
Anyways,
we have a studio in our podcast. We have a TV in our podcast studio now. So we've been having random things just show up on YouTube just to kind of give a little bit of intrigue to Freddie about what Bowman Gray is all about. But Freddie, the blog,
BlueDevilsBlog.com.
Julian, the blog.
The blog is, you can find me on Twitter. You can follow me on Twitter, Julian_Austin24. Also, the blog is theracingrenaissance.blogspot.com. You may have to say that into your telephone.
Do it, save it, read it. It's some fantastic stuff.
www.
Skilo's Lawn Care. Let's give a shout out to them. Whatever you need. I mean, you come mow yards.
He can
Can
reseed.
you come?
He's going to have to reseed.
You come to Rocky
lawns.
Mount often. How much would it cost
Hey,
to come
I
over
do
here and
the
mow
Rocky
my
Mountain
yard?
area. Yeah, I could
How
get
much
in.
would it cost to come in here and
If
mow
you've
my
got a
yard?
yard to mow,
Do you have
I
like
could
a
get
zero
in and out in
turn?
no time at all. By the time you blink your eye,
You have a zero turn. You could in and
I
out.
got to walk behind zero turn.
I might have to get you to do it. I just don't have the time anymore. My yard is super small. It takes me about 40 minutes to push it. But if you're passing through town and can jump out here and mow it on a zero turn in about 10, I'm going to give you my money to do it. So I need to talk to you before we leave out of here because I would really like that. And I don't know, maybe we can trade off some.
he's going to be busy seeding grass this fall
Yeah, I've got a lot of issues going on.
because
So,
it ain't going to be nothing left anywhere in the county.
also, check out These Lug Nuts on Facebook and Twitter. Hopefully, in the next couple of weeks, we'll drop our first show. Maybe get through 4th of July weekend. It's a good Zoom opportunity. We can do it. We can do it on Mondays before we do one of these shows as well. So we'll figure it out. We'll make it work. It's all in the works. We've got everything set up other than the fact to push it on through. So, Julian, thank you for that.
We're in the content business, folks. We're about to really make some big things take place.
Some great conversations coming. I think the D's Lug Nuts is going to be with. I mean, you're going to be able to tune in and listen. Hopefully, we can reach out to guys like Steve Post and Matthew Dillner and Burt Myers and Bobby Lamont. Guys we've had on the show before can come on for 20 minutes, giving us a little recap. And we can talk some racing because racing, like Julian said with his blog, there's a renaissance going on right now, and and racing seems to be our bread and butter. And that's no disrespect to any other guests we have on here. Everybody loves every show we've had. I've had nothing but great comments from every single one. But when you look at the download numbers at the end of the day, I think 8 out of the top 10 we've had are all been racing. I mean, this is Appalachian. This is a big part.
Oh, it is huge.
You know, but we're also, but I love doing shows like this that aren't racing related because I love talking Tobacco Road. I love talking music. I love talking a bunch of other things. So
look, I get it. Jules is bringing up the numbers. All right, this is episode.
He is. I gotta give it to him.
It's gotta be, man.
This is number 3. Okay.
Julian shows.
I mean, it's just
We could have really used him up here with the Nelson boys too, bit Jeff.
Yeah.
Yeah, I couldn't make it for
Could
that
have really
one.
used
but,
him for that one as well. So
yeah.
hopefully, here in the future, one of the things we're working for, Julian on for a lot of the sports related shows. Simon on for a lot of the cultural shows. Different people here and there. Josh Grice for music. Kyle Forey. Like this really is a community effort. So we appreciate everybody that's been a part of it. You can find us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram at the Appalachian Podcast. Just search for all those. You'll see us. Also, Patreon. Look, you can find all of our episodes early if we have the opportunity to release them early on Patreon before anybody else. Big shout out to 3 people. We have 3 Patreon followers right now. Blake Holcomb, Don Johnson, and Bradley Kennett. It's $3 a month. That's all it is. You're giving Netflix $120 a year, and they hate you. We love you here. If everybody that listens to these shows gave $3 a month, we could go so much further. We could reach so many more people. I'm not, whatever money I make is getting put back into the podcast. So any support or help you have out there, we appreciate it. And we appreciate you listening for all of us here.
Don Johnson. You mean like
No.
Okay.
And I actually want to reach out to this Don Johnson because he has an Instagram page. It's like Beyond the Paranormal. I think he is a ghost, he's a ghost hunter in Bedford County or whatever. And I would love to have a ghost hunter on.
I thought we were talking about the Miami Vice Don Johnson. I was like, that'd be great.
That's what I thought too.
But
when we can afford the $3.
When we have him on the show, though, we are going to promote it as that Don Johnson just so we can get the download.
Hey, shout out to Bradley Kennett. Excellent landscaping work. Great buddy of mine. If you got landscaping needs, he's a great dude.
He was on the show with us a couple weeks ago. They did fantastic work up there at the rifle range boating, all his landscaping. He does my landscaping here as far as keeping the yard beautiful. Now I need Freddie to come in and do the mowing behind him, and we'll be all good.
So he doesn't mow. Okay. All right.
So for everybody here, Freddie.
Had a blast. Love to come back on maybe after John Shires.
Yes, let's have you back on before ACC tournament starts, so we can kind of see where we're at and see where we're going.
Maybe we can do something
a good basketball show. I enjoy it because I love having Freddie here.
Yeah, this was a lot of fun. I mean, I don't really consider myself a guest at this point anymore. And this is
You're
third
a guest
show.
co-host.
So, we'll just put it in the bio at this point.
All right. Nope, I'm good.
You good?
Let's rock out.
Thank y'all very much for showing up here tonight, and thank you to the Harwell Grice Band and
Josh Grice for his terrible music.
Awful music for bringing us in and taking us away from here. And we'll catch you all next time.